The godfather stepped down from the platform. A bodyguard who had been standing to the side approached. Godfather, the managers of the various divisions are mobilizing their men. We'll make that Blackwood bastard regret ever challenging us. Child, you're thinking too simply. The godfather lit a cigar and took a thoughtful puff. For so many years, no one has dared to cause trouble. He's the sole exception. That doesn't make him a fool. It means he's already prepared. Prepared. The bodyguard had barely finished the word when the sound of gunfire erupted outside the villa. The surrounding guards instantly formed a human shield around the godfather. A thick, acrid smell of gunpowder drifted in from outside. But the godfather remained utterly unconcerned, exhaling a plume of smoke as if nothing were happening. Children, what have I always told you? Maintain your elegance. When trouble arises, don't panic. Handle it with composure. With a screech of metal, the iron gates swung open. A column of men with red armbands marched in, forming neat ranks. The man in the lead saluted the godfather. Godfather, all traitors have been eliminated. Elegant. That was simply too elegant. The godfather's face split into a wide grin as he applauded slowly. Children, you are the pride of the Ainsworth family. Look at the fate of those traitors. A baptism by the fires of hell awaits them. Beep. The earpiece of the bodyguard at his side flashed. What? Understood. He leaned in and whispered a few words into the godfather's ear. Oomph. A pile of loose sand is still just a pile of loose sand, even when you gather it together. It can't make any real waves. And don't be impatient. I told you, be elegant. Yes, sir. But godfather, I believe this was just a minor ploy. They might have other tricks up their sleeves. Of course they do. Perhaps those other factions who can't stand us have joined in as well. But that isn't necessarily a bad thing. After we completely shatter their little fantasies, we will swallow them whole, one by one. And that is when the Ainsworth family will reach its zenith. The godfather's voice rose with passion before he caught himself and cleared his throat with two soft coughs. I'll leave the rest to you. I'm going to enjoy a glass of red wine and savor the coming victory. Godfather, the bodyguard stepped forward to stop him. We can't let our guard down. They might still have a trump card. I think it would be better to take the jet to a secure location. Oh no, child. The godfather shook his head in disappointment. Blackwood certainly anticipated that. The most dangerous place is the safest place. On the contrary, if we leave this villa, we might be in even greater danger. Then at least let me protect. You are destined to have nothing to do with elegance, the godfather said suddenly, his face an emotionless mask. I understand. I will heed your teachings. Seeing the godfather's expression, the bodyguard knew he had crossed a line. To save his own skin, he said no more. The godfather turned without another word and walked slowly toward the wing where Alice had disappeared earlier. Clank, clank. He reached a fountain in the back garden and twisted the head of its central sculpture. A section of the garden wall silently slid upward, revealing an elevator. The godfather stepped inside, and the wall sealed behind him, returning to normal. In a hidden garage, an ordinary-looking van was parked. Ahead, a tunnel led directly to the garage of a residential building down the mountain, as if everything had been prepared long in advance. The van's door slid open, and the godfather climbed into the back seat. Peering through the dim light at the silhouette in the driver's seat, he murmured, when the critical moment arrives, the traitors always appear. Even the person right beside you might turn and take a bite out of you. But don't you worry, my dear. I don't trust any of them. Except for you. After all, you're the star I raised since you were a little girl. Is that so? A woman's voice suddenly spoke from the front. She picked up a pistol from the passenger seat and aimed it at the godfather. You're not May, the godfather said slowly, his relaxed demeanor instantly vanishing as every nerve in his body tensed. You mean that actress who couldn't stop talking about you in the car? The woman, Scarlett Vance, let out a chuckle. Don't worry. You'll be seeing her very soon. What did you do to her? The godfather roared. A sound so raw it would have shocked anyone who knew him. Was this the same man who preached elegance at every turn? He looked more like a panicked old man, ready to jump out of his skin. I can't believe what a sick bastard you are. To your own. Scarlett trailed off, a wave of disgust washing over her. She couldn't bring herself to finish the sentence. All right, it's time to send you on your way, you old fossil. No, I can give you anything you want. I own everything in the family. The godfather had completely abandoned his elegant facade. In the face of death, his cowardice flowed out naturally. Just then, a foul odor filled the small space of the van. Scarlett pinched her nose in revulsion. You old man, you're disgusting. She prepared to pull the trigger. Suddenly, the cowering godfather whipped a pistol out of his pocket and simultaneously ducked down, aiming it at Scarlett. Shit! Bang! A single, deafening gunshot echoed through the garage, and then silence. Ugh! Ugh! A pained groan broke the quiet. A man stepped out of the darkness, and as he drew closer, he was revealed to be Damian Blackwood, dressed in a sharp suit, a red armband on his right shoulder. You! A torrent of blood poured from the godfather's mouth as he stared at Damian with an expression of pure disbelief. Why? Why? Because you were not good to her. That's all. Her. Before he could say more, the godfather's eyes went vacant, and his life signs ceased. The man who had dominated the UK's underworld died an almost anticlimactic death. Moof. Damian shot the body a contemptuous glance, then turned to the still-stunned Scarlett in the van. If you don't leave now, you won't make it. That gunshot will bring people running. I owe you one. Scarlett took a deep breath, forcing her composure back. Are you done? If you're done, then go. Damian sat down in the passenger seat and rolled down the window to air out the stench. Lena's waiting for me at home. Scarlett didn't say anything else. She stomped on the gas, and the van sped out of the garage. Should I give you your cut of the profits? Scarlett asked suddenly. What would I do with that? I don't like owing people. Then you can be the maid of honor at my wedding to Lena. After all, you're her only real friend. Virum. The van pulled into a nondescript low-rise building. A moment later, two figures emerged. When are you planning on marrying Lena? Scarlett asked. After this whole thing settles down. Damian took off his suit jacket and tossed it aside. I'll leave the cleanup to you. My darling is waiting for me at home. Watching his retreating back, Scarlett pursed her lips. You'd better be good to her, Damian Blackwood, or I swear, I'll hunt you to the ends of the earth. Lily felt Ethan shift beside her in the bed and was instantly jolted from her sleep. She kept her eyes narrowed to slits, silently observing his every move. Phew, good, I didn't wake Lily up. Ethan picked up his phone from the nightstand and checked the time. It's already 9 in the morning. Time to get up and get ready. I told the shop we'd be there around now. Shop? Time? Lily's mind was a complete fog. She had no idea where Ethan was planning to take her, but from the slight smile on his face, he was clearly looking forward to it. I'll let Lily sleep a little longer. Gives me a chance to take a shower. With that thought, Ethan carefully slipped out of Lily's embrace and tiptoed out of the bedroom. Lily pouted and wriggled over to the warm spot Ethan had left, mumbling, Where's he taking me that got him so happy? I'm so curious. She reached over and snatched Ethan's phone from the nightstand, then quickly dove back under the covers, curling up into a tight ball like a caterpillar in its cocoon. She expertly typed in her own birthday, unlocking the phone. She went to his recently used apps and found a map application. She opened it, but when she checked the history, she froze. There was nothing. It had been deliberately cleared. He's definitely hiding something from me. Why else would he delete this? Is he planning to run away from me? Because of her nature, Lily's thoughts always gravitated toward the worst-case scenario. A wave of gut-wrenching, negative emotions flooded her entire being. Ethan, why would you hide this from me? Didn't we promise we'd be together forever? We promised. Ding. A notification popped up at the top of the app. Lily's eyes fixed on the words. You have planned a total of 20 routes recently. Congratulations, you've earned the title, Route Planner Pro. Route Planner Pro. Heh. Hey. A chilling laugh echoed from under the blankets. So, Ethan has been lying to me this whole time. All along, he's been planning his escape. Don't you worry, Ethan. I'm going to carve my name right into your heart. A smooth, delicate foot slipped out from under the covers and touched the floor. Hum. Oh, what a beautiful morning. Ethan hummed as he fried an egg, completely unaware that a shadowy figure had just slipped out of his bedroom and into another. A few moments later, admiring the perfectly cooked, sunny-side-up egg, Ethan nodded in satisfaction. He slid it onto a plate, wiped his hands on his apron, and reached for his pocket. He didn't notice the dark silhouette behind him, moving toward him with the slow, deliberate steps of a zombie. Where's my phone? After patting his pockets and finding them empty, Ethan tapped his head. Duh, I almost forgot. I left it on the nightstand when I turned off the alarm. The bridal shop at the department store should be opening soon. It was so hard to get an appointment. I can't be late. He turned around as he spoke. Time to wake Lily up so she can get ready. His words died in his throat. Lily was standing right behind him, her hands behind her back, her wide, unblinking eyes fixed on him. She was slowly backing away, a look of profound regret on her face. Lily, what are you doing behind me? Ethan jumped, startled by her sudden appearance. I didn't hear anything. Lily's voice was hoarse, and her eyes glistened with unshed tears. Still, she kept retreating. No, I can't let Ethan see what's behind my back. I was wrong about him. I have to get back to the room fast. Lily, you heard everything, didn't you? Ethan scratched his head, embarrassed. He shouldn't have been talking to himself. So much for the surprise. Ethan, don't come any closer. Seeing him take a large step toward her, Lily grew more frantic. Her back hit the bedroom door, and she fumbled with the handle, slipping inside and shutting it behind her. Lily, Ethan froze, a pang of hurt striking his heart as he stared at the closed door. Is she avoiding this? Does she not want to go to that kind of place? Did I get it all wrong? Inside the room, Lily whispered, I messed up. I messed it all up. She gently opened the case she had slid under the bed and placed the syringe and scalpel back inside. But the tears that fell from her eyes, hitting the floor with soft drip sounds, stole all her courage to leave the room again. The depth of her regret was as vast as her initial suspicion. I'm sorry, Ethan. I'm so sorry. Lily slumped to the floor, her head leaning against the door as she replayed Ethan's words. Bridal shop. So that's what this was all about. He wanted to take me to a bridal shop. Why would I do something like this? Ethan was never leaving me. I'm such an idiot. Though tears streamed down her face, a blissful smile spread across her lips. She imagined herself in a wedding dress, walking down the aisle hand in hand with Ethan. It was such a beautiful image, an image she had almost shattered with her own hands. Ethan must be so hurt right now, but I can't. I can't bring myself to face him. I'm so afraid. I'm afraid of the cold look that will be waiting for me. Out in the living room, Ethan sat on the sofa, his eyes staring blankly at the bedroom door. The plate with the perfectly fried egg, meant for Lily, was still in his hand. Why is she hiding from me? Is she angry that I made plans without telling her? Or does she not want to get married at all? I guess my grand plan was a total bust. Ethan set the plate on the coffee table, shook his head with a bitter smile, and untied the apron from his waist, letting it fall to the floor. The clock on the wall ticked away, tick-tock, tick-tock, but the room was frighteningly silent. The oppressive atmosphere crushed Ethan, making it hard to breathe, as if all his beautiful hopes had just turned to dust. His gaze drifted to the closed bedroom door. She still hasn't come out. Ethan lowered his head, his eyelids feeling heavy, as if he couldn't face the reality of it. Everything had been fine when he told her he wanted to marry her before. How did it suddenly turn into this? Lily. Her face materialized in his mind, and he instinctively reached out, wanting to touch her cheek. He leaned forward, his hands grasping at empty air, and tumbled right off the sofa. Thump! The sound startled Lily, who was still sitting on the floor on the other side of the door. Ethan. She had been whispering his name over and over. Hearing the noise, she jerked her head up from her knees. What was that? It sounded like something heavy falling. Could it be Ethan? No, please, no. Horrible images flashed through her mind. She scrambled to her feet, using the doorframe for support, and reached for the doorknob. Ow, that hurts. Ethan pushed himself up from the floor, sucking in a sharp breath through his teeth. Looking at the closed door, he grit his teeth and stood up. No, I have to see how she is right now, even if it's just for a second. He limped to the door and put his hand on the knob. Click. The door slowly opened. Two hands rested on two doorknobs, one on each side. Lily. Ethan. The names left their lips at the same moment they crashed into each other's arms, a torrent of emotion breaking free. Ethan. Ethan. Lily buried her head in his chest and began to sob, releasing all her pent-up fear and anxiety. You were here all along. Ethan didn't speak, not because he wasn't emotional, but because holding her in his arms had completely washed away his own anxiety and worry. You were here all along. He breathed in the sweet jasmine scent of her hair and gently patted her back. I'm sorry, Lily. Was I too sudden? Is that why you didn't know how to react? I promise, I won't hide things from you anymore. No, I'm the one who should be sorry, Lily said, tilting her head up, fresh tear tracks staining her cheeks. This is all my fault. I didn't trust you. Ethan, of course, had no idea he had been a hair's breadth away from a grim fate. He assumed his surprise had simply shocked her into acting this way. Lily looked down, suddenly unable to meet his gaze. No, it's really not your fault, Ethan. She let out a small yelp as she felt her body go light. Ethan had swept her up into his arms before she could finish. Don't say another word. Ethan's eyes were full of warmth as he gazed at her. I know you were just thinking of me, Lily, but it was my fault for keeping it a secret and causing all this trouble. It wasn't. Lily cut him off. It has nothing to do with you. It's all me. MMPH. Ethan leaned in and silenced her with a kiss, one hand cradling the back of her head as they lost themselves in the moment. Lily's balled-up fists gradually relaxed. If one looked closely, they would see deep nail marks in her palms, imprinted there while she was alone in the room. She would rather hurt herself than the boy she loved. But thankfully, Ethan hadn't seen that side of her. There was still a chance to fix everything. His taking the initiative to kiss her settled the frantic beating of her heart, replacing it with an excitement that surpassed even his own. He wanted to take me to a bridal shop. Does that mean I can start calling him honey from now on? Should I call him honey or just Ethan? Ethan slowly pulled back, looking deeply into her eyes. Lily, if you weren't mad that I didn't tell you, then why did you hide in the bedroom? Well, Lily came back to her senses, stammering as she looked down. Lily. Ethan called her name gently when she didn't answer. I was just too excited. Lily's eyes went wide as she looked at him, but the way they darted around revealed her panic. When I heard you say bridal shop, I didn't know how to face you. It was supposed to be your surprise for me, but I overheard it. I felt so guilty. Oh, so that's it. Ethan breathed a sigh of relief. She was just nervous. That makes sense. I've seen videos of guys proposing, and the girls always look totally overwhelmed. It's okay, Lily. Ethan stroked her head. Whether you knew about it or not, these are things we're going to do anyway. As long as we're together, isn't that the best ending? Lily suddenly wrapped her arms around his waist. When she looked up again, her eyes had shifted to a soft pink. Ethan, why don't we go to the shop tomorrow? Our appointment time has probably passed by now. But if we go now, we might still make it. Don't you want to try on wedding dresses, Lily? We won't make it. And besides, she purred, pushing him back toward the sofa. I'd much rather eat you up right now. Ethan's foot slipped, and he tumbled backward onto the cushions. Before he could sit up, Lily pounced. Lily, that's dangerous. You could have hit your head. Ethan wrapped his arms around her and playfully pinched her smooth cheek. Ethan, the more you're like this, the more I can't control myself. Splash. Water from the full bucket sloshed over the side, soaking Lena's boots. She reacted, turning off the faucet and moving the bucket. Geez, I was spacing out again. Lena pouted, carried the bucket over to a peach tree, and began watering it with a large ladle. She rested her hand on the trunk and sighed. When are you coming back? Suddenly, a voice came from beside her. Were you talking about me? Lena's body went rigid. She turned to find Damian standing there, a wide smile on his face. Damian. Lena ran to Damian and threw herself into his arms. It seems my Lena missed me, Damian said with a smile, holding her steady. Lena, I'm back. You're back. You're really back. Lena suddenly pulled away from his embrace and looked him up and down. Only after finding nothing wrong did she ask, Damian, are you hurt? Damian put on a pained expression. I knew you'd find out. Seeing this, Lena covered her mouth in shock. No, that can't be. You'll be okay, Damian. I'll call a doctor right now. Damian caught her arm. A doctor can't help me. Only you can, Lena. How is that possible? I'm not a doctor. I have an ailment of the heart. So only you can cure me. Realizing she'd been had, Lena slapped his shoulder playfully. You jerk. You scared me to death. Damian decided to quit while he was ahead. He glanced at the peach tree, quickly changing the subject. Have you been taking care of the peach tree this whole time, Lena? Of course. This is where we first met. Lena touched her cheek at the memory. Suddenly, Damian dropped to one knee, startling her. Damian, what are you doing? He pulled a small box from his pocket. Opening it revealed a flawless, brilliantly sparkling diamond ring. Lena, will you marry me? Lena clapped both hands over her mouth, completely stunned by his gesture. Tears streamed down her face. You idiot. All you do is scare me. But even as she said it, she held out her small hand. Damian slid the ring on her finger, then stood and pulled her into his embrace. Lena, I love you. I love you too. Damian swept her up into a princess carry and started walking toward the villa. Damian, what are you doing? Put me down. You nourished the peach tree, Lena. Now it's my turn to nourish you. Ethan lay on the bed, staring at the setting sun, lost in thought. He had lost count of how many times he had fainted, but from the amount of time that had passed, it was clear this last battle had been an intense one. He sat up and looked over at Lily, who was lying peacefully beside him, her mouth slightly parted as she breathed evenly. Ethan, don't go. Lily mumbled in her sleep, her pouting lips impossibly cute. Is she having a nightmare again? Don't worry, Lily. Ethan pulled the blanket up, tucking her in. I'm not going anywhere. You don't have to worry about me leaving you. Before Ethan could finish, Lily spoke again. That was only number 99. Just a little more and we'll hit 100. Ethan froze solid. Dear God, I hope she's talking about push-ups. He didn't get out of bed. He just turned on the nightstand lamp a little brighter, so Lily wouldn't panic if she woke up in the dark. She was always like that. Perhaps it was the light, or perhaps she had just reached her target number. But Lily's eyelids fluttered and slowly opened. The first thing she saw was the bright lamp and Ethan, illuminated by its glow. "Good morning," Ethan, Lily said drowsily, rubbing her eyes. "Silly girl, it's already evening," Ethan chuckled, amused by her reaction. He leaned down and kissed her cheek. God, her skin is so smooth and tempting. Kissing it is pure bliss. Feeling his affection, Lily reached up and stroked his cheek. Her messy hair covered half her face, but her one visible, pale blue eye was captivating. After a while, watching her enjoy his touch like a contented kitten, Ethan asked softly, "Are you hungry, Lily? I can go make dinner." "Not hungry." Lily opened her eyes and snuggled closer to him. "But my legs are a little numb." "Numb? Did you sleep on them wrong? It's all your fault for suddenly picking me up earlier." Lily's face turned red at the memory, and she buried her head in his chest. Ethan blinked, then a memory surfaced. Today, Captain Ethan had performed some impressive zero-gravity flight maneuvers. The effect had been quite perfect, a flight the passenger would never forget. I was just too excited. Ethan rubbed the back of his head, embarrassed. "Can you get out of bed, Lily? Or should I make dinner and bring it in here?" Lily, of course, wasn't going to tell him it was just a minor case of pins and needles. She gave him a sidelong glance and opened her arms. "Eating in bed will make the room messy. You should carry me to the sofa, Ethan." "All right, fine." Ethan got out of bed first, letting Lily get into a comfortable position before scooping her up. "Hold on to my neck, Lily. Be careful not to fall." Lily could feel that after what had happened, Ethan was much more open with his affection, not hiding it away like before. It made her feel like she was floating in a jar of honey. What are you laughing about? Come on, hold on tight." Ethan gently tapped her head. "Okay, are you holding on?" "I'm holding on," Lily whispered into his ear. "And I'm never letting go." "Ma'am, everything has been taken care of." "Good." Scarlett Vance stared at the list in her hand, deep in thought. The Ainsworth family's fortune was truly vast. Even the factions that had contributed the least had walked away with hundreds of millions. And that was nothing compared to Scarlett's own 30% share. "So, ma'am, should we inform your father?" "Tell him, take 10% of my share and give it to my father. Donate the rest to charity. In Lena's name." "I understand." The secretary nodded, then placed an envelope on Scarlett's desk. "By the way, ma'am, your best friend asked me to give this to you. I'll be leaving now." "An envelope? Is Lena asking me to rescue her?" Scarlett tore it open frantically. Inside was a single, crimson card. Printed on it were two shining, golden words. "Wedding invitation." The next morning, Ethan woke up early. He leaned over and whispered softly in Lily's ear. "Lily, time to wake up. Today is a very important day." Swish! Lily's eyes snapped open. She immediately burrowed into Ethan's arms. "Good morning, my love." Good morning." "You've changed," Ethan, Lily pouted. "You won't even call me my love." "Who said I wouldn't? I just wasn't ready." Ethan protested, gently brushing a stray strand of hair from her face. He said, in a soft, warm voice, "Good morning, my love." Before she could react, he blushed, got out of bed, and announced, "I'm going to go wash up. You rest for a bit, Lily." "Why is my love's face so red?" Before Lily could finish, Ethan had already vanished from the room. "Ethan is so cute." Lily licked her lips, her eyes full of anticipation. "He's like a blank sheet of paper, so clean. And I'm a drop of ink that can never be washed away." She lay back down on the bed and closed her eyes, thinking. A few seconds later, they snapped open again, filled with resolve. "I'll stick with Ethan, because he's the one and only irreplaceable Ethan." Weird. Ethan stared at his reflection in the mirror. The blush was still there. Why do I get so excited when Lily calls me that? It took 3 splashes of cold water to his face before he finally calmed down. Okay, never mind that. After breakfast, it's time to head to the bridal shop. An image of Lily in a wedding dress, holding a bouquet of flowers, bloomed in his mind. She would look so beautiful. An angel. That's right. Lily is an angel. Lily pressed her ear against the bathroom door, a confused expression on her face. What is Ethan thinking about? Phew, time to go. Ethan pulled open the bathroom door and found Lily standing right there, tilting her head as she looked at him. Lily? Sorry, have you been waiting long?" "Not at all. I just got here," Lily said with a crinkling smile. "Can you let me by, Ethan? It's my turn to get ready." Oh. Ethan immediately stepped aside. Just as she was about to walk past, Lily turned her head. "Thank you, my angel Ethan." She covered her mouth, stifling a giggle, and shut the door, leaving a stunned Ethan in her wake. So, she heard my crazy monologue after all. Ethan slapped his own mouth in mortification. I'm never, ever speaking my thoughts out loud again. After breakfast, the two of them left the apartment. The fresh air and bright sunlight seemed to be blessing their journey. Ethan smiled and waved at a small dog outside the security guard's booth. "Good morning, little doggy. Do you know where we're going today?" The dog, which had been lying on the ground, glanced at Ethan, then got up and trotted away. "Ha ha!" Seeing this, Lily burst out laughing, covering her mouth. She patted the silent Ethan's back. "It's okay. I know you're just really happy." After a pleasant walk, they finally arrived at the bridal shop. Through the glass window, Ethan could see mannequins dressed in all sorts of pristine white gowns. He glanced at Lily, his heart thumping, and squeezed her hand tighter as they walked inside. "Hello, welcome." An assistant saw them enter and hurried over, her face beaming with a genuine smile. "Another couple. I hope they'll be happy together for 100 years. This is why I love this job." "Hi," Ethan said, looking around. The shop was beautifully decorated in a Western style, and the sweet scent of flowers filled the air, creating a wonderfully relaxing atmosphere. The assistant saw their intertwined hands and knew right away they were a couple in love. "You two look so perfect together," she said. "I sincerely wish you a lifetime of happiness." "Thank you," Ethan replied politely. The assistant's professionalism was impressive. Her every word and gesture was designed to make customers feel comfortable. "So, are you here for a photo shoot or to buy a dress?" Ethan's interest was piqued. "You do photo shoots here, too? That would save us the trouble of finding a separate studio." "We do, sir. We have professional photographers and equipment. You can choose the time and location for the shoot yourselves." "That's great. In that case, we'll take the dress and the photo shoot." The assistant smiled. "Then please pick out a dress you like. I'll go have a word with the photographer." After the assistant left, Ethan led Lily over to the displays. There were dresses of every kind. Long, white Western-style gowns, traditional, vibrant red dresses, and even some unique outfits that looked like they were from other countries. "Take a look, Lily. See any that you like." Lily's gaze lingered on the display for a moment before she looked at Ethan. "They're all so beautiful." "Ethan, can I ask you a question?" "What is it?" "In your world, do people also wear dresses like this when they get married?" Well, I've never been married, but my parents took me to a few weddings when I was a kid. Most people wore Western-style dresses. The more traditional ones were pretty rare." "Is that so?" Lily listened intently to his explanation, absorbing every word. Whenever Ethan spoke about his world, she committed it all to memory. Not for any particular reason, just because it was a part of him. "So, I'm fine with any style of dress, really. As long as you're the one wearing it, I'll be happy." "Well, okay." Lily walked to a display case and pointed. "Ethan, I want this one." "Let me see." As Ethan walked toward the center of the showroom, Lily quickly snatched the price tag off the display and hid it behind her back. The dress in the case was on the shorter side, with only a delicate layer of fine gauze for a train. The skirt itself was simple, without much decoration, save for some elegant embroidery on the bodice. "Lily, are you sure you want this one?" Ethan asked, a note of confusion in his voice. "What's wrong with it?" "I think it's beautiful," Lily said, clutching the price tag tighter behind her back, determined not to let Ethan see it. The dress was important, of course, but compared to Ethan, it was nothing. Lily didn't want to spend too much of his money on an expensive outfit. As long as she was standing on that red carpet with him, nothing else mattered. Ethan glanced at her hand, hidden behind her back, and sighed. He had already researched this shop online. He knew this particular dress was the most budget-friendly option they had. Just then, the assistant returned. "Hello again. The photographer is ready. Have you chosen a dress?" "We have," Ethan said, looking at Lily with a nod. Lily was about to point out the dress to the assistant when Ethan cut her off. "We'll take this one." He walked over to a breathtakingly vibrant gown. The long dress was adorned with shimmering pearls and diamonds, and the bodice was covered in intricate, colorful floral embroidery. Its beauty was matched only by its obviously steep price tag. The assistant nodded. "Of course, sir. I'll go get a brand new one in her size right away." Years of experience meant she didn't even need to ask for Lily's measurements. She could tell just by looking at her. "Ethan," Lily protested as soon as the assistant was gone. "We agreed I'd get the one I liked. Don't you love me anymore?" "Of course I do. I'll always love you, Lily." Ethan smiled and stroked her head. Seeing her try so hard to argue her case only made her seem more adorable. Then why won't you buy me the dress I like?" Lily pouted, her eyes welling up with tears. "I really, really like that one." "It's precisely because I love you that I can't let you have your way on this, Lily," Ethan said, gently calling her bluff. He wasn't angry. He knew she was always thinking of him. Hearing this, Lily seemed to understand. She threw herself into his arms. "You idiot, Ethan. You big idiot. Are you some kind of trust fund kid? Throwing money around?" A dress we can use is perfectly fine. I don't need you to buy me anything. I just need you by my side every day. Ethan gently tilted her chin up, his gaze full of emotion. Lily, think about it. This is the first time in our lives, and it's the last time. Don't you want to leave our mark on this world? Something just for us. MMM. Lily fell silent, her body going limp in his arms as she seemed to accept his reasoning. He's right. I don't want a single flaw in this beautiful memory. Ethan. Lily stood before him, her hands clasped together, her captivating eyes overflowing with love. For the rest of our lives, please take care of me. MHM. So sorry for the wait. The assistant returned, placing a large box on the counter. This one just arrived last week. The material is brand new. Thank you, Ethan said, then looked at Lily. Go on, Lily. Go try it on. Lily hugged the box tightly. Okay. After Lily disappeared into the dressing room, Ethan wandered around the showroom. The assistant excused herself to help set up the photo studio, leaving him alone in the main hall. He didn't notice the dressing room door crack open, a pair of eyes peeking out to watch him. As Ethan was browsing, his phone suddenly buzzed. He opened it to find a text from Lily. Ethan, help me. A jolt of panic shot through him. He sprinted toward the dressing rooms. Lily, please be okay. He remembered which door she had gone through and ran right up to it. He was about to shout her name when a hand shot out from the crack in the door and yanked him inside. Lee MMPH. Lily pressed a finger to his lips, her hand covering his mouth. Don't be too loud, Ethan. Lily, are you okay? Ethan asked, his heart still pounding. He looked her over, relieved to see she was unharmed. I'm fine. Then why did you send me that text? Because. Lily gave him a sly smile, her body pressing close. I wanted you to see the quality of this dress with your own two eyes. Phew, finally done. The assistant wiped the sweat from her brow after setting up the last backdrop. I should probably go check on the customers. When she came out, she found Lily standing next to Ethan, wearing the wedding dress. She looked like a princess from a fairy tale, pure and elegant. That dress truly realizes its full potential on you, miss. You're the most beautiful bride I've ever seen. Thank you for the compliment. Lily was clearly pleased by the assistant's praise, but her eyes were fixed on Ethan's bright red face. Ethan, why is your face so red? Ahem. Ethan coughed twice, ignoring Lily's teasing. He turned to the assistant. We'll take this one. Can we pay now? Of course, but let's do the photo shoot first. You can settle the bill after you're done with your personal matters. Thank you, then. Ethan was about to head toward the studio when Lily tugged on his arm. What is it, Lily? Lily, in her wedding dress, put her hands on her hips. Ethan, don't you notice something wrong with this picture? Wrong? Ethan asked, confused. What's wrong? Are you really going to take pictures with me while you're wearing casual clothes? All right, my mistake. Because the train of the dress was so long, Lily kept tripping over it. Ethan naturally took on the duty of holding it up for her, watching the two newlyweds looking so sweet and happy together. Even the photographer couldn't help but smile. They're truly a match made in heaven. I wonder when my own love story will begin. The photographer's thoughts drifted as he snuck a glance at the lively, outgoing shop assistant. Okay, you two, this is the room. The photographer will take it from here. The assistant waved cheerfully at the photographer and then left the room. All right, newlyweds, please come over to the set. The photographer led Ethan and Lily to a virtual garden. In the center was a small gazebo entwined with flowers. A cobblestone path wound its way across a lawn, leading to a white, cradle-shaped swing. Groom, please sit in the gazebo, facing the swing. Tilt your head up slightly, as if you're enjoying a playful moment with the bride. And bride, please sit on the swing, holding the flowers, with a look of pure happiness as you gaze at the groom. The two exchanged a smile and followed the photographer's instructions. Yes, perfect. 1, 2, 3. Click. A beautiful image appeared on the camera's memory card. In the photo, a princess of otherworldly beauty in a white gown sat peacefully on the swing, one hand on the rope, the other tucking a stray hair behind her ear. She gazed lovingly at the prince leaning against the gazebo, and the handsome prince, in turn, rested his arms on the railing, looking up at his beloved. It's too beautiful. The door was cracked open, and the shop assistant, Jenna, was peeking inside. If I miss this perfect scene, I'll regret it for the rest of my life. I know it's an invasion of their privacy, but I just can't help it. After watching for a moment, afraid of being discovered, she gently closed the door. Sigh. I wish I could watch forever. Then, an idea struck her. Wait, maybe I can sneak a peek at the pictures on the camera. Lily, you are so beautiful, Ethan whispered, cupping her face in his hands. The studio lights made her skin seem even more radiant. Her sweet smile and cherry-red lips were intoxicating. To Ethan, She was like an angel descended to earth. Lily sat cross-legged on the grass, basking in his gentle gaze, and reached up to stroke his face in return. That perfect, tender moment was immortalized with another click of the shutter. They moved through several more scenes, taking many pictures, until the photographer finally declared, "That's a wrap," with a triumphant shout. He frantically scrolled through the results of his work, a few tears splashing onto the floor. To capture such a breathtaking series of images. My life is complete. All right, you two, I've selected the best photos. I'll develop them as quickly as possible. To protect our client's privacy, we will delete all the original files once we're done. As a photographer, Chris said this, his whole body trembled. Damn it, photos good enough to be our main display, and I have to destroy them. It's a criminal waste. This store policy is just plain wrong. That's it, I'm writing my resignation letter tonight. This is going to leave a permanent scar on my professional career. Okay, thank you. Ethan didn't know why the photographer looked so distraught, but out of politeness, he didn't ask. So, can we go change now? Yes. Chris nodded. You can wait in the main hall after you've changed. I'll bring the photos out shortly. Watching Ethan and Lily leave, Chris sighed with envy. I've been shooting wedding photos for years, witnessing so much love. But when will my own turn come? Forget it. I need to develop these photos. I can't let the clients see me in this state. In his changing room, Ethan was getting out of his suit when he heard Lily's voice from the next stall. Ethan, come help me. My zipper is stuck. Nice try, Lily. I'm not falling for that again. Ethan unbuttoned his suit jacket, full of confidence. I've already seen through your little tricks. You should give up now. After he spoke, the stall next to him went completely silent. Ethan smirked to himself. I'm not the same old defenseless Ethan anymore. To deal with Lily, you don't use force, you use your brain. He went to unbutton his shirt, but looked down and saw it was already undone. I thought I only unbuttoned the top one. As he puzzled over this, a soft body suddenly pressed against his back. A voice that was all too familiar whispered in his ear. Lily, how are you in here? Impossible. Ethan looked up and saw that the partition between the changing rooms didn't go all the way to the ceiling, but the gap was at least a person and a half high. How did Lily get over it without making a sound? Lily rested her chin on Ethan's shoulder, her voice dripping with playful mockery. Weren't you being so clever just now, Ethan? Why don't you seem so smug anymore? Lily, stop fooling around. Go back to your room. No rush. The shop assistant just went to find the photographer, Lily purred, pushing Ethan against the wall. Ethan, do you remember what I said just now? Just now? You mean about the zipper? Correct, Lily said, pressing her lips together. But now, it's not my zipper we're talking about. Okay, that should be all of them. Chris organized the photos into a portfolio, then, with great reluctance, deleted the originals from his memory card. Damn it all. I'm done with this place. I'm leaving tonight, he roared to himself. Don't. A figure ran up from behind him. When Chris saw who it was, he realized it was the assistant from the front desk. Jenna, what are you doing here? Why are you leaving? The girl named Jenna asked, her voice trembling as tears welled up in her eyes. No, I was just blowing off steam, Chris said with an awkward laugh. I was just complaining. Don't take it seriously, Jenna. Really? The girl asked timidly. Of course. This is my job, and the pay isn't bad. I have no reason to quit. Oh, that's good. Jenna let out a long sigh of relief. She clenched her small fists, as if gathering her courage, and stepped closer to him. Why did you look so sad just now? That, Chris gave a bitter smile. I was just thinking about when my own love story will ever begin. After all, I witnessed so many new couples starting their lives together. It just made me a little emotional. Your own love story? Jenna looked at Chris's dejected expression, her heart aching for him. Then, to his complete surprise, she wrapped her arms around him. It's okay, she said, patting his back like a wise older sister. I believe you'll find your happiness eventually. No matter what happens in the future. Her voice grew softer. I'll always be cheering for you, silently. You've helped me so much since I started working here, so I wanted to do something for you, too. Jenna. In that moment, Chris could no longer hold back his emotions. He hugged the girl tightly. I like you. Do you know how long I've waited for you to say that? Tears streamed down the girl's face, but she forced a smile. If you felt that way, why didn't you tell me? Because I thought you were just naturally outgoing and friendly with everyone. I figured you must have liked someone else. You idiot. Jenna melted into his embrace. Didn't you notice that from the very beginning, all my friendliness was just for you? What? You really are a big idiot. Here is your receipt, sir. I wish you both a future filled with happiness and love. Jenna smiled and handed the receipt to Ethan. Thank you. Ethan took it and noticed that her eyes were red and swollen, as if she had just been crying. But he didn't ask why. Staring at her for even a second too long had already sent an icy, bone-chilling glare into his soul from the person attached to his arm. "Ethan, let's go," Lily said, her arm linked with his, her tone laced with a subtle threat. Watching the two of them leave so closely, Jenna's own face broke into a happy smile. She turned to look at the nervous photographer beside her. "From now on, can you take lots of pretty pictures for me?" "Oh, of course." After they left the shop, Lily was about to speak. "Ethan, were you just looking at? It's getting late. You must be hungry, Lily." Ethan cut in, pointing to a nearby restaurant. "Let's go get something to eat first." "Okay, but you'd better have a good explanation for me later." "Ethan, welcome." The two entered the restaurant and were led to a table by a waiter. Ethan immediately started ordering. Let's see." He flipped through the menu, ticking off a box for spicy boiled pork and another for pickled cabbage fish before handing it to Lily. "See anything else you want, Lily?" Lily glanced at it for only a few seconds, ticked a single box, and closed the menu. "Ethan," she leaned her head closer to his. "You know what I want to talk about, right?" Sigh. "I shouldn't have been so curious." Ethan took her hand in his and said in a grave tone, "You want to ask why I was staring at that shop assistant, right?" Lily's hand tightened around his, and she nodded, her eyes fixed on him. "Didn't you notice her eyes were all red?" "I was just curious, so I'll look for a bit longer." "Is that so?" Lily scrutinized his face. Whenever Ethan lied, his eyes would dart around, and he would subconsciously touch his nose. Seeing no such tells, she relaxed her guard and handed the menu back to him. "I've ordered my dish, Ethan." "Okay." Ethan nodded and gave the menu to the waiter. Then he suddenly touched his nose and looked toward the door. "Oof, my stomach suddenly hurts really bad. I'll be right back, Lily." Without waiting for a reply, he stood up and quickly walked out of the restaurant, heading deeper into the department store. Lily glanced at the restaurant's own restroom, then recalled Ethan's recent gesture. "Ethan, you're so full of holes," she muttered. After a quick word with the waiter, she stealthily followed him. Phew, finally found an excuse to get out. Ethan wiped the sweat from his brow. "But I have to be quick. It'll be bad if Lily finds out." He looked up at the storefront before him and stepped inside. "Can I help you with anything?" a clerk at the jewelry store asked as he entered. "Hi, I'd like to buy a diamond ring. For a wedding." Around a corner in the hallway outside, a pair of sharp, lively eyes watched everything. "Thank you for your business." Ethan smiled at the small box in his hand. He couldn't wait for the moment he would place the ring on Lily's finger himself. "Time to head back, or Lily will start to worry." As he rounded the corner, a faint, familiar fragrance hit his nostrils. "Weird. Why do I smell Lily here?" He lifted his arm and sniffed his own shoulder. "Must just be the scent on my clothes." When he returned to the restaurant, he found that Lily had already placed a slice of beef in his bowl. Seeing him approach, her eyes lit up and she gave him a little wave. "Sorry to keep you waiting, Lily." As soon as he sat down, Lily's chair scooted closer until their chairs were pressed together. Lily, isn't this a little too close?" She didn't answer. Instead, she picked up a piece of fish with her chopsticks and held it to his lips. Ahem. After he ate it, Lily put her chopsticks down and wrapped both arms around his. "Does it still hurt, Ethan?" "And no, it's all better." "Then hurry up and eat." Lily snuggled even closer. She suddenly felt something small and box-shaped in his pocket. A sly smile spread across her face as she rubbed her cheek against his chest. Hey, Lily, how am I supposed to eat like this?" For some reason, Ethan felt like Lily had become even clingier. Was it his imagination? Lily obediently moved her arm away and glanced toward the kitchen. "Why isn't the last dish here yet? If this keeps up, I'll have to go cook it myself." Having expended so much energy, Ethan was ravenous. He was about to call the waiter for some rice when Lily stopped his hand. "Lily, what's wrong?" Seeing a waiter carrying a large, covered pot toward their table, Lily narrowed her eyes. "Don't rush to eat rice, Ethan. The main event is coming." "Excuse me." The waiter placed a large pot, covered with a lid, in the center of the table. "This is our restaurant specialty, the all-nighter. Please enjoy." "The all-nighter? That sounds like a very sophisticated dish." Ethan's face lit up with anticipation. "Did you order this, Lily? It sounds interesting." Lily just nodded slightly, her gaze locked on the delicacy. Ethan eagerly lifted the lid. A cloud of hot steam billowed into his face. "Whoa, hot." He leaned back, setting the lid aside. A rich, potent aroma filled the air. It really is a specialty. The smell alone is making my mouth water." He used his chopsticks to fan away the steam. "Lily, where did you see this on the menu?" "I flipped through the whole thing and didn't see it. It's a special offering. It's usually on the very last page," Lily explained. "The steam has mostly cleared." Go on, Ethan, dig in. All right, don't mind if I do. No sooner were the words out of his mouth than his chopsticks dove in and pulled out something massive. Holy cow, this portion is huge. I'm gonna have to eat my... Wait. Suddenly, Ethan noticed something wasn't quite right about the item on his chopsticks. He placed it in his bowl and examined it closely, his expression growing grim. He plunged his chopsticks back into the pot, fishing around. Beneath the thick broth lay a trove of various surprises. Though they were of different shapes and sizes, their intended effect was singular. Gulp. Ethan swallowed hard. Lily, is it too late to return this? Of course not. It's already on the table. Besides, the ingredients are very expensive, Lily said, already piling his bowl high. You said it yourself. Ethan, you were going to eat your fill. You can't back out now. Lily, I'm suddenly not that hungry anymore. You're going to eat it today, Ethan, whether you can finish it or not. Even if I have to feed it to you myself, you're going to eat every last bite. As she spoke, Lily picked up a piece of what was unmistakably an organ and held it to his lips. Gong, 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 gong. A piano melody filled the church, drawing all eyes to the entrance. With a soft creak, the large doors opened, revealing a man and a woman. Holy light streamed in from outside, illuminating their path. The groom was tall and wore a tailored suit. Though time had touched his face, it had only transformed him from a handsome youth into a distinguished man. The bride's gown was magnificent, as dazzlingly white as she was pure, a stunning sight to behold. No one would have guessed that the innocent, sweet girl from before was now a mother. Damian, Lena whispered, her heart pounding as she saw the crowd. I'm so nervous. It's okay. I'll be right here with you. Damian squeezed her hand reassuringly. I wish Lily could have been here. It's a shame they couldn't make it. Don't be sad, Lena. We'll just have to go to their wedding, won't we? MHM. Lena nodded and looked at Damian. Let's go. Behind them, Scarlett Vance, the maid of honor, wore a pained smile. It was her first time being a bridesmaid, and her first time wearing a bridesmaid's dress. The restrictive gown made her walk with extreme caution, but there was nothing she could do. Lena was her best friend. Hello. A handsome, blonde groomsman approached her, likely from family trying to curry favor with the Blackwood Corporation. Miss, may I have the pleasure of getting to know you? Piss off. The groomsman was baffled, thinking he'd misheard. I'm sorry, what did you say? If you don't want me to stuff this pistol down your throat, you'll stay far away from me. The man's face paled, and he scurried away. They reached the altar, where the priest was already waiting. After guiding Damian and Lena into place, the priest cleared his throat to quiet the crowd. Damian Blackwood, do you take Lena to be your lawfully wedded wife? To have and to hold, in sickness and in health, for richer or for poorer, to love and to cherish, forsaking all others, until death do you part. Damian took Lena's hand and said with sincerity, I do. And Lena, do you take Damian Blackwood to be your lawfully wedded husband? To have and to hold, through success and failure, for better or for worse, to share in his troubles and his triumphs, until death do you part. Lena pursed her pink lips and looked at Damian with adoration. I do. Very well, and now I invite you to... The priest's words were cut off as Damian swiftly dropped to one knee and slid a second ring onto Lena's finger. Oh, very good. The priest was about to continue when Damian stood up and interrupted him again. Lena, I love you. Damian, MMPH. Damian pulled Lena into a passionate kiss. The crowd erupted in applause and cheers. The priest looked at the script in his hands, then at the couple before him, and sighed softly. At the same time, rose petals began to drift down from the sky, blanketing the guests. Lily plucked something from her hair and saw it was a rose petal. Where did this come from? She wondered aloud. Oorp. Lily slowed down. I can barely move. Ethan groaned from behind her, clutching his stomach. Lily turned around. Oh, Ethan, it's your own fault for eating so much. Ethan was bewildered. Weren't you the one stuffing it in my mouth? What? I would never. I'm far too gentle to force you to eat. It was clearly you who couldn't stop eating, no matter how much I tried to persuade you otherwise. Well, in that case, Ethan retorted, why didn't my sweet, considerate Lily offer to split the load? Who said I wouldn't? Lily's tone shifted, becoming sultry. You're in charge of digesting the food, Ethan. And I'm in charge of digesting you. Ethan felt a sense of dread wash over him. It was just like in video games. Right before the boss battle, there's always a supply drop. Watching Lily's body physically grinding against his arm, Ethan's Adam's apple bobbed. This was going to be one tough boss. Night fell. Ethan lay limply on the bed, utterly exhausted. He watched Lily, her hair in disarray, sitting on the edge of the bed and humming a little tune. He looked at her with envy. Is it a special feature of this world? Or did I get nerfed when I was reborn? Why isn't Lily tired at all? I really thought I could use all that energy for a battle of attrition. Sigh. Ethan let out a deep breath. HM. Lily tilted her head. Are you ready, Ethan? No, no, no. Ethan quickly held up his hands. I was just thinking. Lily brushed a stray hair from her eyes, then slid back under the covers, resting her head on his shoulder. What were you thinking about, Ethan? Gazing at the moon outside the window, Ethan began. It feels like I was brought to your world by some unseen force, like it was all a deliberate arrangement to make us meet. Ethan, why are you saying this? Did something happen? Lily lifted her head slightly, her eyes boring into his. One of her hands, hidden from view, gripped the wrinkled bedsheet so tightly her knuckles went white. Don't you think it's incredible, Lily? I never imagined something like reincarnation could happen to me. Ethan continued, lost in his own thoughts, completely missing the change in Lily's expression. Sometimes I even wonder if this is all a dream. Or maybe I'm just in some kind of mental world. Shut up. Lily's icy voice cut him off. She wrapped her arms around him, holding him tight, her body trembling. Please don't say any more, Ethan. Just don't. Lily, am I real? Or are you real? I said stop it. Lily suddenly screamed, tears finally spilling from her eyes. Ethan, can we just go to sleep? Let's not think about this. Ethan's hands slowly reached down toward the floor, but he kept talking. In that case, to determine whether this is real or not, would you please agree to spend the rest of your life with me? To verify it together? He pulled a small, square box from under the bed. He slipped off the mattress and, to Lily's astonishment, dropped to one knee, gently opening the box. A sparkling diamond ring sat nestled inside. Ethan's warm voice filled the quiet room. Lily, will you marry me? After he spoke, the world seemed to freeze for a few seconds. The only sound was the chirping of crickets from the apartment courtyard below. Thump, 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 thump. Ethan's heart hammered against his ribs as he watched Lily, who was sitting cross-legged on the bed. Her dark hair veiled her eyes, but the hand trembling in midair told him everything about her inner turmoil. Was it excitement over his proposal? Or was it the fear that he was about to disappear? Ethan, Lily finally spoke, her voice unnaturally hoarse. Lily, what's wrong? Ethan snapped the box shut and placed it on the bed, about to rush to her side. But before he could move, Lily launched herself at him. Thud! The two of them tumbled to the floor. Ethan! Lily's voice was thick with tears as she wrapped her arms around his neck, burying her head in his chest. You just love scaring me. I'm sorry. Ethan hadn't expected such a strong reaction. I was just trying to build up to it, to give you a surprise. That wasn't a surprise. That was a scare. Ethan gently stroked her hair with one hand while the other held her waist. I'm sorry, Lily. The sound of the crickets outside seemed to soften. Ethan felt a pang in his chest as he looked at the tear-soaked patch on his shirt. Lily, I swear to you, I will never, ever scare you like that again. MMPH. Lily slowly lifted her head and pressed her lips to his in a brief, desperate kiss. Ethan, I'm here. Don't ever leave me, okay? I was never gone. MMM. A flash of crimson appeared in Lily's eyes, but it vanished as quickly as it came. Ethan had no idea that if he had pushed her just a little bit further, an endless abyss would have been waiting for him. Once her emotions had stabilized, Ethan gently pinched her slightly chubby cheek. So, what's your answer, Lily? Lily knew exactly what he meant. She had seen the ring, but her brain had been so preoccupied with more important matters that she had completely forgotten about it. My answer is... Lily sat up straight, looking down at him. She held out her pale, slender hand, her palm open, waiting. Lily. Overjoyed, Ethan opened the box beside them and took out the dazzling ring. He took her hand in one of his and, with the other, slid the ring onto her fourth finger. Lily wiggled her fingers back and forth, a look of pure joy on her face. To her, this ring was a promise from Ethan, a promise that he would always be with her. Is it beautiful, Ethan? Beautiful. But I'm not talking about the ring. Hearing this, Lily's face flushed red. She stood up and walked out of the room, leaving a bewildered Ethan behind. Lily, he called after her, but she was already gone. He was about to follow when he reached the bedroom doorway and saw a sight he would never forget for the rest of his life. In the living room, Lily had changed back into the wedding dress from their photo shoot. Standing there, so immaculate and graceful, she stole his breath and made his heart skip a beat. Ethan. Lily opened her beautiful, pale blue eyes and slowly walked toward him. Am I beautiful? Beauty. Before he could finish the word, Lily leaned in and whispered in his ear, Husband, I love you. Boom. It was as if an explosion went off in Ethan's brain. He stood frozen, his mouth slightly agape, unable to form a single word. But Lily was not finished. She hooked a finger in the collar of his shirt and, in a voice dripping with temptation, spelled it out for him. Doesn't my husband plan on consummating our marriage tonight? Before she could even finish the sentence, Ethan suddenly strode to the kitchen cabinet, pulled out a bag of goji berries, and then walked back to Lily. He swept his bride, still in her wedding dress, up into his arms. My wife, I love you. Outside, the crickets suddenly chirped louder, as if joining another sound from the apartment in a powerful duet. Leo, this is so good, Zoe Reed said, propping her chin on her hand with a blissful expression as she took a bite of pudding. Of course it is. You're forgetting you're in the presence of a master chef, Leo King said, his words full of bravado, even as his hands were busy cracking eggs into a bowl. Zoe, just wait until I'm done with this cake. You'll know the true meaning of delicious. Okay. Zoe's eyes were glued on Leo, and she swallowed hard. You already look pretty delicious yourself. Ding dong. The doorbell rang, and Leo's expression instantly tensed. Oh crap, he whispered. Zoe, it's not your parents, is it? Huh? No way. My parents went out of state on a business trip last month. Then who could it be? Leo tiptoed to the door and peered through the peephole. It was just a delivery guy in a uniform. A delivery? Zoe, did you order something? Zoe mumbled, another spoonful of pudding in her mouth. She swallowed, then said no. Then who? Leo opened the door. The delivery guy handed him an envelope. Hi, this is for Ms. Zoe Reed. Please sign here. After signing, Leo sat on the sofa with the letter. Zoe, it's for you. A letter? I haven't written to anyone, she said, wiping her hands before taking the envelope. The sender's name was written in the corner. Ethan White. Ethan? Why would he be sending me a letter? Zoe tore it open, Leo leaning in to see what his buddy was up to. Inside was a single, simple card, thick and stiff to the touch. Zoe pulled it out. The words printed in elegant script made both of them freeze. Invitation. An invitation? Leo took the card, his brow suddenly furrowed. What is it, Leo? You look serious. Don't tell me Ethan is getting married. And married? At that same moment, the bell on a shop door chimed. Mrs. Gable shuffled out from the back. Welcome, can I help? A letter? For me. The old woman tore open the envelope, and a huge smile spread across her face. Wonderful, just wonderful. I always said those two were a perfect match. Hi, can I help you? Officer, yes. Is there a Detective Miller here? I'm Detective Miller. What can I do for you? This came for you. Mail? Did my wife buy me something again? Detective Miller opened it, and a satisfied smile touched his lips. Bringing people happiness, protecting them. This is what it's all about. Honey, what do you think of this dress? Claire White held a long gown up to herself, her eyes asking for an opinion. I think. Mark White began to speak, but his phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out, glanced at the screen, and immediately scooped Claire into his arms, lifting her into the air. Mark, what are you doing? Honey, it's great news. Ethan and Lily are getting married. What? Say that again. Claire seemed unable to process his words, her head spinning. I said, our son is getting married. Thump. The dress fell to the floor. Claire started swatting at Mark's shoulder. Quick, book the first flight back. But honey, what about the company? The company? Claire looked at Mark, her voice dangerously calm. What were you just saying, dear? I was just saying how slow this phone is, Mark said, already tapping furiously at the screen. Takes forever to book a simple ticket. Jingle, jingle, jingle. The sound of a keychain echoed down the sidewalk. If Ethan or Leo had heard it, they would have snapped to attention out of pure reflex. The source of the sound was none other than Mr. Davis. Some habits die hard, Mr. Davis chuckled, shaking his head as he glanced at the cluster of keys hanging from his belt. Suddenly, a familiar figure appeared in front of him. Mr. D. Long time no see. Leo? What are you doing here, kid? Just thought I'd bring you some news. News? What kind of news? Leo didn't say a word, just grinned mysteriously and handed the card to his former teacher. You kids, always finding new ways to surprise me. Mr. Davis wagged a finger at him, slowly opening the card. But even a man who had seen it all like him couldn't help his eyes going wide at its contents. Is this real? Of course it is, Mr. D. Would I lie to you? Mr. Davis slowly took off his glasses. The true purpose of education is to nurture good people. Teaching Ethan and all of you. It's the thing I'm most proud of. Mr. D. Go tell Ethan White I'll be there to raise a glass. In the warm sunlight, Lena snuggled against Damian Blackwood's chest. When she slowly opened her eyes, she found him staring out the window, his expression grave. What's wrong, Damian? she asked, tracing his cheek. Lena, you're awake. You should sleep more. The moment he knew she was awake, his expression softened instantly. I'm not tired anymore. Lena shook her head. Damian, can you tell me why you look so upset? That kid called me earlier. Did something happen? Lena interrupted, sitting up straight. Is Lily okay? They're fine. It's just... Oh, Damian, stop beating around the bush. Just tell me. It's just... They're getting married. And married. Lena blinked, frozen in place. She lifted her hand, looking at her own wedding ring, then looked back at Damian. Is it for real? It is. They've already sent out the invitations. That's wonderful. Lena threw her arms around Damian's neck in excitement. That's such great news. Why would you be making a face like that? Humph. Damian turned his head away, saying nothing more. Quick, get up. I have to go see Lily right now. I'm going to plan the most beautiful wedding for her. Lena threw back the covers and started to climb out of bed, but Damian pulled her back. Not so fast, Lena, he murmured, his voice low. The fire of my anger needs to be properly extinguished. Eek. And so, one by one, everyone who received the news sent their heartfelt blessings toward the couple who were about to be wed. Done. Ethan sat on the sofa, propping his chin on his elbow with a look of feigned calm, his eyes filled with a quiet, resolute satisfaction. Oh, Lily Foster, leaning against Ethan's shoulder, blinked her eyes open. Ethan, is everything taken care of? Yep, everyone's been notified. The date is set for 3 days from now. 3 days. So, do you think you can spare the next 2? Ethan knew exactly what she was getting at. He refused with righteous conviction. Absolutely not. Lily, you have to understand, there are all sorts of arrangements and plans to make. We're going to be incredibly busy. Besides, don't think I don't know what you're plotting. For now, you are in charge of resting. That's it. Oomph. Lily pouted, asking meekly, well, there's nothing to do right now, is there? I guess not right now. Everyone who needed to be invited has been. Good. Lily took Ethan's hand and pressed it to her cheek. Will you come somewhere with me? Somewhere? The river flowed gently by, its surface set ablaze by the setting sun. The entire waterway seemed to glow with a brilliant, fiery light. There! Lily patted down her skirt and sat on the grassy bank, waving to a very confused Ethan. He didn't understand her intentions, but he knew that whatever she wanted to do, he would be right there beside her. Lily, did you bring me here to tell me something? I did, she said, leaning against him. She reached a hand out, as if trying to grasp the fading sunlight. Don't you think the sunset is beautiful, Ethan? It's beautiful, but it's too short. Yes, too short. At this, Lily lowered her head slightly, burrowing into Ethan's chest. She folded her hands over her heart. When I think about all this, it feels so surreal. Being with an Ethan from another world. It's like something out of a sci-fi movie. Sci-fi movies are just fantasies, Ethan said, taking her hand and holding it tight in his own. But you're experiencing this for real, aren't you? The real me. You're right. This isn't sci-fi. It's reality. Lily smiled, then stood up and trotted to the river's edge. Staring at the half-vanished sun, she spoke with her back to him. Ethan, if there's a next life, I'll come find you in my most beautiful form. One lifetime isn't enough for me. I want to be with you forever, life after life. I don't care if you're rich or poor. I just want you to be healthy so that when I find you. She put her hands behind her back and turned around. The last rays of the sunset silhouetted her, making her dress flutter. From Ethan's perspective, she looked like a divine angel. When I find you, Ethan, you'd better not forget me. The words were touching, but Ethan felt a tiny, chilling shiver run down his spine. How could I? He stood and pulled her into his arms. I, Ethan White, will marry no one but Lily Foster. That is an eternal promise. If I break it, may I be struck by lightning. Before he could finish, Lily clapped a hand over his mouth. A wave of emotion washed over him. She doesn't want me to get hurt. She really. I could just die. But then, Lily spoke softly. Don't make such a vicious vow, Ethan. It would break my heart. And if you really did break your promise, lightning wouldn't be necessary. I would take care of it myself. The thought seemed to excite her. She cupped her own cheeks, her voice giddy. Then I could finally punish you without holding back. I could make you into a specimen and preserve you forever. Heh. This girl's thought process has a serious problem. Whoa. Lily, snap out of it. This is heading in a very dark direction, Ethan said, cold sweat beading on his forehead. He gently shook her shoulders, trying to bring her back to reality. Lily's eyes grew deeper, lost in her fantasy. This isn't good. She's going full Yandere. I have to pull her back. Ethan took a deep breath, held her by the shoulders, and pressed his lips firmly against hers. Damn it, skunked again. Might as well go home and eat, a veteran fisherman muttered, trudging along the riverbank with his rod. Suddenly, a blindingly sweet scene appeared before him. He gripped his fishing rod tighter, his eyes blazing with righteous fury. I'm full. I've had my fill. I'm going back to fishing right now. A true fisherman never quits. By the time Ethan was about to pass out from lack of air, Lily's gaze finally cleared. He gasped for breath. Huh, phew. Lily gently touched her lips with her fingers, a blush creeping across her cheeks as she leaned in close. I didn't realize you were so impatient, Ethan. Does being outdoors increase your combat power? Ethan waved his hands frantically. No, that was self-preservation, a basic instinct to cling to life. In that short time, the sun had vanished. As night fell, Lily tucked her arm into his. All right, I've seen the sunset. Let's go home, Ethan. You just wanted to see the sunset? I didn't come to see the sunset. Lily tapped his nose, her eyebrows curving into a crescent moon. We came to see the sunset. There may be a million beautiful sights in the world, but I only want to see them with you. On the way home, Ethan held Lily's hand as they walked along the side of the road. When the light turned green, they stepped onto the crosswalk. Lily, the next 2 days will be crazy busy with wedding preparations. If you feel unwell at all, you have to tell me. I know. Lily leaned on his shoulder, already imagining the wedding, completely unaware of the massive truck barreling toward them. Suddenly, a flash of white light. They turned their heads to see a truck bearing down on them. Look out! In a panic, Ethan's first instinct was to push Lily away, but she was clinging to his arm, refusing to let go. Lily, let go, he yelled. Get out of here! Just as Ethan squeezed his eyes shut, a horn blared. Honk! Honk honk! Huh, I'm not dead. Ethan patted himself down, completely bewildered. Are you two trying to die? The truck driver's head poked out of the window. I'm trying to drive here, and you're having a make-out session in front of my truck. Now move it. Ethan's mouth twitched as he saw the truck was stopped neatly before the crosswalk line. Of course, a cliché like that would never actually happen. A cough. Sorry about that, Ethan said with an awkward laugh. After they crossed the street, the driver just shook his head, hit the gas, and a sad ballad started playing from inside his cab. Give me a break. Just a guy trying to drive, and they got to get a room right in front of me. Ethan scratched his head, then looked at Lily's stoic expression. He knew she wasn't happy. Lily, are you okay? You were going to push me away, weren't you? She said, her voice flat. It was dangerous. I didn't want to see you get hurt, so I... And you think I want to see you get hurt? Lily shouted, silencing him completely. But in a situation like that... Suddenly, Lily shoved him against a wall, her gaze burning with fierce intensity. Even if we die, I will die with you. A world without you is meaningless. No matter what happens, I will face it with you. Even if you had saved me just now, all the pain would have crushed me afterward. I would have had to bear that heart-wrenching agony all by myself. Her body began to tremble, the firmness in her eyes collapsing into a fragile vulnerability. Fat tears streamed down her face. So, Ethan, please don't ever leave me alone again. Okay. Ethan wrapped an arm around her, pulling her close. Her delicate frame shuddered in his embrace. He fished a tissue from his pocket and carefully wiped the tears from her cheeks. Lily, don't cry. I won't leave you alone. But you were just about to... Seeing his tenderness, Lily could no longer hold back. The tears she'd been suppressing burst forth like a broken dam. It was always the same. The boy in her heart was always so gentle, so forgiving. Wah-ah-ah. She buried her face in his chest and sobbed, letting out all the fear and negative emotions from the past few minutes. Ethan, do you have any idea how scared I was? I was so afraid you were going to disappear from this world. If I hadn't held on for dear life, you would have pushed me away. Nothing will ever separate us. Not even death. Feeling his shirt grow damp again, Ethan's heart ached. Not because her love was too heavy, but because it was so immense, so all-consuming that she had poured every part of herself into it. I understand, he said softly, patting her back. From now on, I will never let you go. Never. You promise? Ethan nodded. Yes, I promise. Just as he was about to move, Lily called out to him. Ethan, wait. HM. He turned to see her leaning against the wall. My legs. They feel like jelly. They do. Did you twist your ankle? I don't know, she said, opening her arms with an expectant look on her face. So, you have to carry me. Oh, I see what's going on here. Lily, weren't you just holding yourself up against the wall? Ethan asked, deadpan. Oops. He found me out. Omega. Lily looked away, her mind racing for an excuse, but it was too late. You don't need an excuse for something like this, Lily, Ethan said, crouching down with his back to her. Come on, hop on. You're the best, Ethan. Lily chirped, happily running over and clinging to his back. She wrapped her arms around his neck, her cherry-red lips parting slightly. I love you the most. Hold on tight. Ethan slowly stood, lifting her up. He shifted her a bit higher for a better position. To avoid adding extra weight, Lily stayed perfectly still, her soft breath occasionally brushing against his ear. After a few steps, Ethan felt something was wrong. This is a sin, a glorious sin. Ethan, Lily said curiously, why are you taking such big steps? Won't you get tired bouncing around like this? Ahem, it's a secret technique I learned to save energy. This is a perfectly normal way to walk, he said, though his face was beet red. You bad boy, Lily whispered. She knew exactly what he was up to, but she didn't expose him. After all, she was already his. Why did she need to be coy? Click. Back home, Ethan placed Lily on the bed and immediately bolted for the bathroom. Lily, I'm just going to take a quick shower. Seeing his comical escape, Lily couldn't help but laugh. She stood up to turn on the bedroom light when a wave of nausea suddenly washed over her. NGH. She braced one hand against the wall and covered her mouth with the other. After a moment, the feeling subsided. She didn't turn on the light. She just sat back down on the bed in a daze, her hand gently resting on her stomach, her face filled with a tender, hopeful expression. La la la. Ethan, toothbrush in hand, celebrated his personal victory under the spray of a shower, his heart still pounding from the walk home. It would be great if I could carry Lily like that forever. Knock, knock, knock. A soft tapping came from the bathroom door. HM? What is it, Lily? Ethan. Her voice paused on the other side of the door. Can you hurry up? I need to talk to you about something. Got it. Give me a few minutes. Okay. The shower clicked off, and Ethan emerged, wrapped in a towel. The moment he opened the door, he saw Lily sitting primly on the sofa, her gaze fixed on him, a complex mix of emotions in her eyes. What's wrong, Lily? Do you need to use the bathroom? He asked, drying his hair as he walked toward her. Lily bit her lip and handed him a small plastic stick. This is... Ethan took it and froze. Two bright red lines stared back at him. Ethan's hand trembled as if the object he held was a hot potato. He looked up at Lily's smiling face, then slowly, disbelievingly, reached out and placed a hand on her stomach. Lily, is this for real? Silly, would I lie to you about this? I. Ethan stammered, unable to form a coherent sentence. Finally, the words tumbled out. I'm going to be a dad. That's right. Lily placed her hand over his, her voice warm and tender. Ethan is going to be a dad. In that moment, Ethan completely panicked. Even for someone who had lived one life already, he had zero experience with fatherhood. Faced with the reality of a child in Lily's belly, his brain overloaded. What do I do? What do I do? He shot up and began pacing frantically. How do you take care of a pregnant woman? What kind of nutritious meal should I prepare? No, I have to go look up everything online. Ethan, calm down. Lily took his hand. You're getting way ahead of yourself. This is just the beginning. But I don't know anything about this. I'm afraid. Lily pulled his head into her embrace, whispering gently, Don't be afraid, Ethan. I'm here to go through everything with you. Whatever problems we face, we'll face them together and overcome them, right? Lily, so don't try to carry everything on your own shoulders, okay? We'll take good care of our baby. Together. Okay. Ethan hugged her back, careful not to squeeze too tightly. Lily laughed at his caution. You don't have to be so careful, Ethan. I only just started showing symptoms. It means I haven't been pregnant for very long. We have plenty of time to slowly make changes. Feeling his frantic breathing finally calm down, Lily leaned down and kissed his forehead. Don't worry. We'll make sure our baby grows up healthy and strong. Right. Ethan carefully looked up at Lily, his eyes filled with a deep, unwavering love. He never could have imagined he would meet a girl who loved him so much, let alone build a family with her. In that moment, nothing else mattered. He didn't want to be with Lily and their child. After holding her for a while, Ethan suddenly said, Then tomorrow's wedding setup is canceled. We have a few extra days anyway. Why cancel it? I can help you decorate. Tomorrow, you're coming with me to the hospital for a checkup. Otherwise, I'll worry. You don't have to, Ethan. We should get ready for the wedding. It's decided. Ethan interrupted, lifting her up and gently placing her on the bed. You are now a protected treasure. We can't take any chances. I know. Lily relented, seeing how insistent he was. A sweet feeling spread through her heart. You rest here. I'm going to make you some nutritious soup, and I'll call your parents. Okay, my big, bossy husband, Lily said, sticking out her tongue playfully. After Ethan left, Lily gently caressed her stomach, her lips forming a small pout. Little one, why did you have to show up so early? When you're born, you're going to steal some of Ethan's love from me. It's strange. I thought I was always so careful. Could it have been that night I wore the wedding dress? I'm so not happy about this. Oh, Epsilon O. The thought made her want to cling to Ethan even more tightly in the time they had left. She slipped on her slippers and peeked out the bedroom door. In the kitchen, Ethan was washing a piece of fish, his phone dialing Damian's number. He felt it was best to let Lily's parents know first. Ring, ring. The phone rang for a long time. Just as Ethan was about to assume Damian was busy, the call connected. What is it? Damian's cold voice came through before Ethan could even speak. Hello, Mr. Blackwood. I have something to tell you. If you're calling to ask if I'm coming to your wedding, don't bother. Lena and I are already at the airport. It's not about that. I wanted to tell you that Lily. She's... What did you do to Lily? Damian's voice boomed through the phone, making Ethan jump. I'm telling you, kid, if you've done anything to hurt her. As Damian's voice rose, Lena's could be heard faintly in the background. Damian, how can you talk to him like that? If you can't be nice, give me the phone. Ahem. Go on, kid. Sir, what I wanted to say is... Lily is pregnant. More than 10 seconds of silence followed. Ethan didn't dare to breathe, just waited. Finally, Lena broke the dreadful quiet. Why aren't you saying anything? What did Ethan say? The kid said, Lily's pregnant. What? Scarlett Vance had just entered the airport and was looking for Lena when a shriek echoed through the terminal. That's Lena's voice. Could it be? She immediately grabbed her suitcase and ran toward the sound. When she found them, Lena was crouched on the ground, hands covering her face, her shoulders shaking. Damian stood beside her like a wooden statue. To Scarlett, it looked like Damian was bullying Lena. Damian, Blackwood. Scarlett's brow furrowed, and she threw a straight punch at his face. He dodged it with a simple sidestep. Are you crazy? You're the one who's crazy. Didn't you tell me you would never hurt Lena? Is this how you treat her? Scarlett knelt and hugged Lena comfortingly. Lena, don't cry. This jerk isn't worth it. He. A giggle escaped from Lena's lips. Huh. Scarlett was baffled. Did Damian hurt her so badly that she's lost her mind? Why is she giggling? Did I hear that right? Hiv. Lena's laughter came again. No, wait. Scarlett shook Lena's shoulders, frantic. Lena, you have to tell me what's happening. Lena finally snapped back to reality. She had been lost in a fantasy of her grandchildren dozing on her lap while she knitted sweaters for them. I'm sorry, Scarlett. I was just so happy. Happy? Weren't you crying? Who said I was crying? Those were tears of joy. Joy? What? Because... Lena couldn't stop the massive grin spreading across her face. I'm going to be a grandma. A grandma? You mean your niece, Lily, is pregnant? Yes. As she said it, Lena suddenly remembered that in her excitement, she'd forgotten all about Ethan on the other end of the line. She snatched the phone from Damian's hand and pressed it to her ear. My dear son-in-law, are you still there? Finally, she remembers me, Ethan thought with a sigh. Yes, ma'am, I'm here. What's with this ma'am business? It's time for a change. I understand. Mom. Yes. My dear boy, you take good care of Lily, you hear? We'll be there tomorrow. And don't you dare come pick us up from the airport. You make sure Lily gets a rest. Well, Good, it's settled then. It's getting late. Now go take care of Lily. Lena hung up before he could get another word in, leaving a stunned Ethan on the other end. Honestly, she didn't even let me finish, he grumbled, rolling his eyes as he continued to chop green onions. Suddenly, a pair of hands wrapped around him from behind. Lily, I told you to rest in bed. Why are you up again? Go lie down. I'm handling raw fish here. The smell is a bit strong. I don't mind. Lily rubbed her head against his back, her face a picture of pure bliss. It was as if the moment she hugged him, all her anxieties about the future simply melted away. She peeked at the cutting board. Are you making fish, Ethan? Yep, making some fish soup for you. Ethan put the last of the chopped scallions in a bowl, washed his hands, and wiped them on his apron. Only when they were completely dry did he turn and pinch her cheek. Is there anything you're craving? Lily shook her head, holding his hand. She blinked her big eyes. As long as you're the one making it, I want to eat it. I get it. Ethan led her to the sofa and helped her sit down. You wait here. The soup will be ready soon. Okay. Lily leaned back, watching Ethan bustle around the kitchen. A pang of disappointment hit her. Her body was perfectly capable of doing more, but now everyone was treating her like a fragile treasure. That wasn't her style at all. Oh, by the way, Lily, your mom and the others should be here by tomorrow evening. But before that, we need to go to the hospital. The hospital? Ethan, are you not feeling well? Lily shot up, her voice laced with anxiety. Silly, sit down. Ethan gently pushed her back onto the sofa. I just think it's safer if we go get checkup first. This isn't something we can be careless about. We don't have to. I feel perfectly fine. You don't have a say in the matter right now, Ethan said, lifting the fish from its marinade. Your only job is to cooperate. I object. This is a dictatorship. Lily pouted, raising her hand in protest. Objection overruled. Ethan finished his prep and lit the stove. He walked over to her, bent down, and kissed the tip of her nose. Now, will you please be a good girl? This is for a safer, healthier future for all of us. I know, Lily said with a small smile. She wrapped her arms around his neck and gave him a quick kiss back. This is my revenge. And so, they spent the evening in playful banter until it was time for bed. That's when Ethan ran into a problem. No, Lily shouted, her voice sharp. I'm not sleeping in a separate room from you. Lily, please don't get excited. Can we talk about this calmly? The issue had started when Ethan suggested sleeping separately so he wouldn't disturb her rest. The moment the words left his mouth, Lily had reacted like a startled cat, her fur on end. No amount of explaining could calm her down. Absolutely not. If you're going to be like that. She mumbled, her head hung low, then I might as well just go back to the way I was before. No. I take it back, I was wrong. Seeing her on the verge of going dark, Ethan immediately changed his tune and pulled her into a hug. We won't sleep separately. We won't. Good? And don't you ever say that again. I won't. To keep her from getting any more unstable, Ethan carefully led her to the bed. The second she lay down, she grabbed his arm in a death grip, as if terrified he would leave. The force was so strong it made his wrist ache. Lily, don't you trust me? He asked, lying down beside her and wrapping an arm around her shoulder. There. See? You can believe me now. She didn't speak, but he could feel the pressure on his wrist gradually easing. Get some sleep. You need to get into a good routine now. Okay, she said. But Ethan, before we sleep, can you answer one question? What is it? The question is, who do you love more? Me, or the baby in my belly? The question completely stumped him. Is this some kind of early onset pregnancy anxiety? This is bad. It's not good for the baby, and it's not good for her. Of course, Lily. But the baby is an important part of what will make our life even happier. Then, if a situation were to arise, Lily paused. Would you save me or the baby? You. Ethan blurted out without a single moment of hesitation, his eyes filled with unwavering conviction. No matter what, I would always choose to save you. Ethan held Lily tight, his powerful voice reaching her ears, each word clear and firm. I know. Lily suddenly giggled, her voice sweet. She knew how much Ethan loved her. She just liked hearing him say it. Okay, Ethan, let's go to sleep. Lily, please don't carry any burdens in your heart. If anything is bothering you, you have to tell me. MHM. All right then. Ethan leaned down and kissed her forehead. Good night, Lily. Good night, Ethan. Perhaps he was too excited, or perhaps the day's events had simply exhausted him. But Ethan, who had intended to lull Lily to sleep, fell asleep first. The clock in the living room ticked away. The moment the minute hand crossed 12, Lily's eyes snapped open. Seeing her beloved asleep beside her, she reached out and caressed his cheek. See? Ethan loves me most of all. Good morning, Ethan, she whispered with a small smile. She silently slipped out of bed and went to the living room. From behind the wall clock, she retrieved a small key. She crept to the adjacent bedroom and quietly locked the door from the outside, then nodded in satisfaction. There. Now Ethan can't switch rooms in the middle of the night. She returned to their bed. In the moonlight, Ethan's face was clearly visible. Lily leaned down, placed a soft kiss on his cheek, and then burrowed into his chest and drifted off to sleep. Beep, 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 beep. The alarm jolted Ethan awake. He quickly shut it off and glanced at Lily beside him. She was just blinking her eyes, open sleepily. Sorry, Lily. Did I wake you? It's okay. Lily covered her mouth and yawned. Good morning, Ethan. Morning. We have to go to the hospital for that checkup today. Time to get up. Okay. Lily slowly got out of bed. Ethan started to get up to help her, but sharp pain shot through his stomach, and he winced. Huh? What's going on? Why does it hurt so suddenly? Ethan, just rest for a bit. I can manage on my own, Lily said, her eyes darting away. She walked out of the bedroom, leaving a baffled Ethan kneeling by the bed, contemplating the mysteries of life. After a few moments, Ethan recovered, and they made their way to the hospital. It wasn't crowded, which was a relief. He helped Lily to a chair and went to register. Just as he turned, she grabbed his hand. HM? What is it, Lily? Come back quickly. Don't worry. The registration desk is right there. Lily nodded, her eyes fixed on his back, not even blinking. Hello, Ethan said at the front desk. I'd like to make an appointment for the obstetrics department. HM. The nurse at the desk frowned, looking at him strangely. Ethan realized his mistake and quickly pointed to Lily. It's for my fiancé. Fiancé? The nurse leaned forward to look, then her expression cleared, her eyes full of warmth. I see. I'll just need her information, please. Ethan handed over Lily's information and payment. A moment later, the registration slip was ready. Obstetrics is on the 3rd floor. Please be careful on the stairs. And congratulations. Thank you. The world isn't always such a cold place. Sometimes, the kindness of others warms your heart. Ethan took the slip and turned around, only to find Lily standing right behind him. Lily, I told you to sit and rest. What were you smiling about just now? Lily didn't answer his question, asking one of her own instead. The nice lady at the desk was congratulating us. I was just thanking her. Is that so? Lily's eyes widened slightly. She tilted her head and smiled at the nurse behind the glass. Thank you for the well wishes, miss. My husband and I appreciate it. She put a heavy emphasis on the word husband, her intentions known only to her. The two of them went to the obstetrics waiting area. A few other women were already sitting on the benches, some with large baby bumps accompanied by their partners, others alone, quietly holding their papers. When Ethan and Lily appeared, a few people looked over curiously. Feeling a bit awkward under their gazes, Ethan mumbled something to Lily and went to check in. Perhaps it was because they were so young, or perhaps because they were both so good-looking, but the people around them began to whisper amongst themselves, smiling warmly in their direction. Lily sat down on a bench. A pregnant woman with a large belly came and sat next to her. How old are you, sweetie? Hi, I'm 20. The woman let out a sigh of relief, her tone kind. Is that boy your boyfriend? No. Wah. The woman was about to cry out in shock when Lily finished her sentence. He's my fiancé. Phew, you should say it all at once, honey. You nearly gave me a heart attack. Sorry. No, it's fine. I can tell you two are really in love. Ethan loves me very much, Lily said, lifting her chin as if to show off. How far along are you? Oh, you mean my little tater-tot. The woman's face was full of motherly love. This little guy has been in here for 30 weeks. He's a handful, always kicking me. That's so wonderful, Lily said, her eyes full of envy. I can tell you love your baby very much. Of course. He's the symbol of my husband's and my love. I just hope he grows up strong and healthy. I can't wait to meet him. Honey, it's our turn. A man, drenched in sweat, ran up the hallway, clearly exhausted. Silly, don't run so fast, the woman chided, but the loving smile on her face betrayed her words. Well, sweetie, it was nice talking to you. I wish you both a long and happy life. You too. Watching the woman leave, Lily's small fists clenched tightly. I'll have the biggest one. Lily, why are you smiling so happily? Ethan asked, returning with the paperwork. Moi. Lily stood on her tiptoes and kissed his cheek. Ethan, I love you. HSSS. The doctor sucked in a sharp breath as he looked over the test results, his brow deeply furrowed. What is it, doctor? Ethan shot up from his chair in a panic, his hand tightening around Lily's. Lily's eyes widened, her vision starting to blur. Ahem, sorry about that. The doctor took off his glasses, wiped them with a cloth, and put them back on. My glasses were just smudged. This report is perfectly fine. The patient is very healthy. Ethan's mouth twitched. He had to admit, the doctor was a master of the dramatic plot twist. Why do I suddenly feel a chill down my spine? The doctor shivered and handed the report to Ethan. During the pregnancy, avoid excessively spicy or greasy foods. The baby's condition is very stable. Understood. Thank you, doctor. Ethan finally broke into a smile. As long as Lily was healthy, that was all that mattered. He took the hand of a still-dazed Lily and let her out. The moment they were out the door, he pulled her into a gentle hug. This is great, Lily. Now, we can have the wedding without any worries. Lily nodded her head, just as excitedly. Not wanting her to get too emotional, Ethan decided they should rest on a bench for a bit before heading home. Just then, a strikingly handsome man sat down next to him and started scrolling through videos on his phone. Ethan paid him no mind, instead gently stroking Lily's stomach. Ethan, Lily said suddenly, what should we name the baby? A name? Lily, you've come to the right person. Ethan was stunned for a second, then a proud smirk spread across his face. My naming skills are second to none. Just listen. Okay. Lily closed her eyes, feigning an expression of deep concentration. She trusted her Ethan to come up with a beautiful name. If it's a boy, we'll call him Bartholomew. If it's a girl, we'll call her Bertha. How about it? I spent all night thinking of those. Ethan flashed a brilliant white smile, as dazzling as his confidence. Lily's expression slowly faded. She blinked her blank eyes. Ethan, I think we could talk about names later. Huh? You don't think those names are great? Lily didn't say anything, just pursed her lips and looked away. Sigh. The man next to them couldn't take it anymore. He turned off his phone and spoke up. I think Silas would be a good name for a boy and Aurora for a girl. Silas. Aurora. Ethan mumbled the names, his mind racing. Hey, that's not bad. Dude, what's your name? When Ethan turned his head, the man was gone, only a distant figure walking away down the hall. Just call me Fox, the man's voice echoed back. And congratulations. That guy was weird. Ethan scratched his head. He turned back to find Lily with her head down, muttering something. It sounded like, Silas. Aurora. Lily lifted her head, her eyes shining. Ethan, I think those names are beautiful. Why don't we use them for the baby? Well, I guess we could, Ethan said, scratching his cheek. But I still think Bartholomew is better. Crack. A faint sound of knuckles cracking filled the air. Lily stood up. For now, can we please stop talking about this? Okay. Vroom. A plane streaked across the sky, landing smoothly on the runway. Phew. We're finally here. Lena took a deep breath of fresh air as she disembarked, spreading her arms wide with joy. A beautiful day for a beautiful occasion. Isn't it perfect, Damian? I suppose so, Damian said, his face impassive as always. Then let's go find Lily. I can't wait to see her. Lena was about to hail a cab when a voice stopped her. Lily? Excuse me, ma'am. Are you talking about Lily Foster? HM. The moment Lena turned, Damian pulled her protectively to his side. Scarlett did the same. A man and a woman stood behind them, carrying luggage. The woman bore a striking resemblance to Ethan. Yes, I was talking about Lily Foster. She's my daughter, Lena said, her hand on her chest as she asked cautiously. And you are? Hello. We're the in-laws. Claire White extended a polite hand. I'm Ethan's mother, Claire. Oh, my, what a coincidence. Lena covered her mouth in shock, then recovered and shook Claire's hand. It's so wonderful to meet you. And just like that, in a scene straight out of a movie, the two families met as if brought together by destiny. Silas, Aurora. Back at home, Lily wrote the two names on a piece of paper and taped it to a prominent spot in the living room. Ethan, do you want a boy or a girl? I love both of these names. Ethan pulled her onto the sofa and stroked her hair. I'll love them whether it's a boy or a girl. It all depends on your performance. Hee hee. Then I'll have one of each for you. Lily cheered. Then her eyes glinted, and in a flash, she had turned and climbed on top of him. Ethan. The moment she made her move, Ethan sensed danger. What is it? He asked slowly. You just said you wanted to see my performance. Lily whispered, her lips brushing against his ear. So how about I perform for you right now? Warm breath tickled Ethan's ear, sending a tingle down his spine. Lily. Ethan delivered a gentle karate chop to her head. No, you don't. You need a rest right now. We have to listen to the doctor's advice. Ow, Lily whined, clutching her head and pouting with teary eyes. Ethan, you hurt me. That's a blatant lie. I barely touched you. I don't care, you hurt me. All right, I surrender. I am ready to accept my punishment. Ethan smiled dotingly and pinched her soft cheek. So, Judge Lily, what crime am I being charged with? He. Lily put her hands on her hips, her shoulders bouncing. For now, you are sentenced to a punishment of being with me forever. And what is the term of my sentence? Life without parole. Very well. Ethan adopted a look of resignation, holding his fists together in front of him. Then I asked the court to take me into custody. As you wish. Click. Ethan stared dumbly at the tool now fastened around his wrists. The playful mood of moments before vanished into thin air. Lily, what is this? Is there a problem? Lily bit her lower lip, her expression turning sultry. I'm just apprehending a criminal. Her body pressed closer to his. Trapped. Ethan could only retreat. Jingle, jingle, jingle. The sound of a keychain rattled in the hallway, but neither of them noticed. Wait, Lily. Wait. We can talk about it later. Click. The front door swung open, and a voice called out. Lily, Ethan. We missed. Lena burst into the room, stopping dead in her tracks at the scene before her. What is it, dear? Claire followed her in, and she too froze in place. Lily had Ethan pinned to the sofa. Seeing the four people at the door, her body went rigid. Her triumphant expression evaporated, and her face turned a shade of crimson, so deep it was almost visible. She instantly buried her head in Ethan's chest like an ostrich. Ethan wanted to pat her head, but his hands were shackled. He looked up at the four parents with an awkward smile. Hi, everyone. I'm sorry. I know I was wrong. Ethan bowed his head in apology. Taking the fall for Lily, he claimed the whole thing was his idea. Naturally, he received a stern lecture from Claire and the others. Only Damian, who seemed to know the truth, said nothing, instead staring thoughtfully at the discarded handcuffs on the floor. Ethan, Lena said, pursing her lips. You know this is a special time. You need to exercise some self-control. Mom, it's not what you think. You little rascal. Claire chimed in. If you do anything out of line during this period, I'll ground you for a month. Even the usually gentle Claire was stern now, clearly taking this matter very seriously. That's. Lily peeked out. I couldn't help it. Because Lily is just too beautiful. Ethan shouted, cutting Lily off before she could tell the truth. How could I possibly resist the temptation? No one had expected Ethan to say something like that, though when they thought about it, it wasn't entirely illogical. Still, to announce it so brazenly was quite a shock. Lena and Claire had a private chat with Lily, and then the first official family meeting began. All right, let's put what just happened behind us, Claire said, clearing her throat. Ethan, your wedding day is almost here. Is everything ready? Mom, don't worry about a thing. I took Lily for a checkup this morning. We can focus on the wedding now. Good. Do you need any help from us? That won't be necessary. You and Lena just need to show up on the day. Well, all right. Just then, Ethan felt Lily's hand squeeze his. He turned to see her looking at him with teary, apologetic eyes. It's okay, he whispered. Just relax. Lily nodded, but her thoughts were elsewhere. Looks like I need to change the locks on the living room door. I was so careless today. Since there weren't enough beds and Lily was pregnant, the four parents decided to stay at a nearby hotel until after the wedding. The moment the front door closed again, Ethan turned to find Lily clinging to his arm. Ethan, I'm sorry. He wanted to scold her to prevent this from happening again, but considering her emotional state, he just pulled her into a hug. It's fine. It wasn't a big deal. I know you only did it because you love me so much. It was just a little extreme. Feeling his constant forgiveness and acceptance, Lily sank even deeper into the mire of what she called love, unable to escape. Just try not to do anything too rash for a while, okay? We have a long life ahead of us. Lily looked out the window at the bright, full moon, a shining beacon in the darkness. Yes, a long life. The scene changed. A lush green lawn was set up with a stage. A long red aisle runner stretched out from it, passing under a series of white archways draped with strings of crystal beads. The chairs on either side of the aisle were already filled with familiar faces. Mrs. Gable from the corner store, the fearsome Mr. Davis, Detective Miller and his wife, and many more. All eyes were fixed on the entrance, eagerly awaiting the arrival of the bride and groom. The sun was exceptionally warm, and a gentle breeze whispered through the air, as if the entire world was celebrating with them. It's finally here. Lena sat in the front row, clapping her hands softly. Seeing Lily so happy. As a mother, I can finally rest easy. Damian was as taciturn as ever, but for once, his eyes held a hint of wistful emotion. Oh, Damian, why do I suddenly feel like crying? Lena, who had been beaming just a second ago, was now sniffling. It's because you're happy for her, Lena. It's normal. Damian took a handkerchief from his pocket and dabbed her tears. Don't cry. You should be happy, shouldn't you? MHM. Lena blinked away the last of her tears and looked toward the entrance. In the distance, she could just make out two figures walking side by side. They're here. The distant figures grew clearer as they approached. Lily was breathtaking in a flawless white wedding gown, a crown of colorful flowers woven into her hair. She looked like an angel who had descended to earth, holy and beautiful. Her face, already lovely, was adorned with only a light touch of makeup, her hair swept up in a new, elegant style. A soft blush graced her cheeks, and her lips were painted a pale pink. That's my daughter-in-law. She's gorgeous, Claire whispered, a hint of envy in her eyes. Ethan is so lucky to have met a girl like Lily. Now, dear, our son is no slouch either. He's just less obviously handsome when he's standing next to her, Mark added from the side. A father's love was a heavy burden indeed. Next to Lily, Ethan wore a sharp tuxedo. The handsome, carefree young man of yesterday had matured, transforming from a spirited youth into a responsible young adult. Nervous? Ethan whispered, lightly tracing her palm with his finger. Lily looked up at him and noticed his eyes couldn't stay in one place for more than a second. I'm not nervous at all. Are you? Don't be ridiculous. Why would I be nervous? You underestimate me, Lily. Oh, is that so? Lily's lips curved into a mischievous smile. She tightened her grip on his arm and pulled. Caught off guard, Ethan stumbled toward her. Before the eyes of everyone, Lily stood on her tiptoes and pressed her lips to his cheek. Moi. She pulled back slowly, her voice playful. Are you still nervous now, Ethan? 100 pairs of eyes, like 100 powerful spotlights, were suddenly fixed on him. Ethan was completely exposed. He froze in the middle of the aisle, What's wrong, Ethan? Why did you stop walking? I just twisted my ankle. Oh, really? Ahem, Lily, we should probably keep moving. Ethan's face was as red as a ripe apple. He lowered his head slightly and continued walking, leading Lily down the aisle. Ha ha, classic Ethan, what a loser. From behind them, Leo, the best man, howled with laughter. Seeing Ethan flustered was a sight he wished he could record and play back for him forever. Leo, you're the best man. Have some class. Zoe, in a simple white bridesmaid dress, rolled her eyes and jabbed him in the side. Lily's hand rested in Ethan's as they passed under one archway after another. Thump, 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 thump. The closer they got to the stage, the harder Ethan's heart pounded. Finally, we're here. The road was bumpy, but I finally made it. The moment I saw Lily in her wedding dress, I knew it was all worth it. The officiant stood at the front, waiting for them. A hush fell over the crowd as everyone waited for the main event. Welcome, everyone. First, let's give a warm round of applause for our happy couple, the officiant began. A wave of applause washed over them as they stepped onto the stage. It seems our guests are full of blessings. Now, I'd like to ask our bride and groom to face each other. Ethan took a deep breath and turned to look directly into Lily's eyes, his heart overflowing with emotion. Flash! Suddenly, the ruby charm on Lily's neck glinted. Ethan was taken aback. Did I just imagine that? Did that ruby just flash? And now, a few words from our groom. The officiant handed the microphone to Ethan, who, distracted by the charm, hadn't been paying attention. Is it my turn? So soon? Across from him, Lily tilted her head, her smile gone. What's wrong with Ethan? Why does he seem so distracted? Ethan took the microphone, momentarily stunned, but quickly recovered. I'm so lucky to have met a girl like Lily in this world. To me, she is an oasis in the desert, an island in the ocean, and an umbrella in a storm. As he spoke, he couldn't help but take her hand. Lily, in turn, let go of her momentary confusion. This was what truly mattered. Seeing the atmosphere had reached its peak, the officiant quickly spoke into the microphone. On this auspicious day, we gather to celebrate and offer our blessings to this sweet and loving couple. And now, for the main event. He paused for dramatic effect, then handed another microphone to Ethan. Groom, is there anything you'd like to say? Ethan lifted the microphone to his lips. I'm so happy to have met a girl like Lily in this world. From the first moment I saw her, I was captivated. I knew from the bottom of my heart that I wanted to be with her. He looked out at the guests, a small smile on his face. And I'm so happy that all of you could be here to celebrate with us. From the bottom of my heart, thank you. All right, it's clear our groom is overflowing with love. And now, bride, do you have anything to say to the groom? Ethan was about to pass the microphone to Lily, but she leaned forward and spoke into his. Before I met Ethan, my life was gray. He was the one who showed me the world in color again. My love for him can't be expressed in mere words. As she spoke, her excitement grew. She wrapped her arms around Ethan's neck, her eyes gazing into his. Their eyes met, and in that silent moment, everything was said. Sweet, sweet love. Makes you feel sour just watching it, doesn't it? Mister, Davis said, shaking his head with a smile. Why did I come here to suffer like this? You're telling me, sighed Frank, the owner of the downtown diner. If it wasn't to give these two kids a gift, I'd never willingly sit here and watch them be so disgustingly cute. It looks like our couple is ready. The officiant's voice grew louder. And now, for the most important part, the start of the ceremony. At his words, the audience burst into applause, waiting for the final climax. Groom, Ethan White, do you take the woman before you to be your lawfully wedded wife? I do, Ethan said, without a shred of hesitation. And bride, Lily, I do, Lily exclaimed, throwing herself into Ethan's arms. She looked up, her captivating blue eyes locked on his. It seems our bride is a bit eager. I hadn't even finished. Lily, I love you, Ethan shouted, cupping her face in his hands and kissing her small, perfect lips. Well, well, the officiant chuckled, quietly turning off his microphone and stepping back, leaving the stage to them for this final, brilliant moment. Flash! Flash! At that instant, the ruby charms on both their necks erupted in a blinding white light. Lily panicked, her hands grabbing Ethan's sleeves in a death grip, her eyes wide with fear. The scene around them began to dissolve into white. The familiar faces in the crowd faded away. What's happening? Ethan stared in terror. Even having been reborn once, this bizarre phenomenon terrified him. As the stage beneath their feet was swallowed by the light, their surroundings became an endless white void. Is it the rubies? Ethan looked down at his neck. The charm was no longer a shining, crystalline red. It was a dull, lightless black. So much had happened in such a short time. Strange, why did it turn black? Before he could finish the thought, the delicate body in his arms began to tremble. No, this isn't real. It's not. Lily's eyes were vacant as she stared at his chest, repeating the words over and over, her voice cracking with a sob. Lily. A sharp pain pierced Ethan's heart. He pushed the strange, white world from his mind and gently patted her cheeks, tried to snap her out of it. But it was as if she had shut out the entire world. The only thing she did was cling to him, the force of her grip so strong it hurt. Tears streamed from her eyes. She didn't dare look around, just held him tightly, mumbling, "Why now, when everything was finally getting better? All I wanted was to be with him. Why can't you even grant me that one thing?" She started to scream hysterically. Ethan could feel the fabric of his shirt being twisted into a knot behind his back. "Lily, please, just let Ethan stay." The tears flowed freely now, her eyes bloodshot. "I'll give you anything, just let him stay." "Lily." Ethan couldn't bear to see her like this. He cupped her face, lifting her head. "Look at me, please." But in her state, she couldn't seem to hear him, just kept repeating her desperate pleas like a soulless puppet. Suddenly, Ethan felt his own hand begin to turn transparent. Am I going to disappear? For the first time, he felt true panic. Not for himself, but for what Lily might do after he was gone. Lily Foster. He yelled her full name with all his might. The sound made her flinch. "No, don't call me that." As if jolted by the shock, she snapped out of her stupor, her eyes filled with terror. Her grip on him tightened. "Ethan, what did you just call me?" she asked, her voice an eerie whisper that sent a chill down his spine. "Lily, I said that on purpose." "On purpose? Why?" "Because there are things I have to tell you, and I'm afraid I'm running out of time." Ethan held up his hand. He could clearly see it fading into nothing, the transparency already creeping up his arm. "What is this?" Lily's pupils shrank, her body recoiling from the shock as she pressed herself desperately against Ethan. No. She grabbed his arms, shaking her head frantically. "Ethan, you're going to be okay. Whatever it is, we can deal with it after the wedding, okay? After we go home." "Lily, calm down," Ethan said, gently stroking her hair, trying to soothe the panic rising in her. Hey. Lily's head was bowed, an unhinged laugh escaping her lips. When she looked up again, her eyes were bloodshot, tears streaming down her face. "Calm down? How am I supposed to calm down, Ethan? I overcame so much to get here, and this is the end? I hate it. I hate that everyone wants to take you away from me. First Isabella, then Coco, and now the world itself is trying to rip you from my hands." Lily's manic laughter intensified as she lunged forward, tackling Ethan to the ground. He landed with a thud, and before he could react, she had crawled on top of him, straddling his chest. "Ethan, I have one more idea," she whispered, her voice dangerously low. "A way for us to be together. Forever." She bit her lip, a war raging within her. But when Ethan saw her eyes shift from bloodshot to a deep, predatory crimson, he knew she had already made her choice. "If this world insists on taking you away," she purred, leaning in close, "then I'll just have to make you a permanent part of it before you can disappear. Won't that be better?" "I see you agree with my plan," Lily whispered, a twisted smile on her face. She lunged for his neck. A moment later, a sharp, searing pain shot through him. The coppery scent of iron filled the air. Lily made a soft, satisfied sound, as if the taste was intoxicating. Bright red blood began to seep from the wound on his neck, and she licked at it like a cat obsessed with catnip, mesmerized. Lily, having seen his fair share of madness, Ethan wasn't entirely shocked. He just patted her back, his voice filled with a profound sadness. "I don't want to leave you either, but it really does feel like I'm disappearing from this world. There's so much I still wanted to do. I wanted to sit with you and watch the sunset, just like we used to. Those were the happiest days of my life. Lily, without me, you have to promise you'll take care of yourself. MMPH. MM. Lily's movement stopped. Her tears fell freely, soaking the front of his shirt. Faced with the boy she loved, she realized she couldn't go through with it. As the seconds ticked by, Ethan's form began to turn translucent. Lily could feel it. The substance of his fingertips was already gone, her own fingers passing right through them. It was as if a veil between life and death was being forcibly drawn between them, a cruel twist of fate determined to tear them apart. "Lily." In a swift movement, Ethan flipped them over, pinning her beneath him. His eyes, though fading, were resolute. "I believe my coming to your world had a purpose. I don't want to see you like this, defeated, giving up on everything. Didn't you once say you'd find me, no matter where I was?" He could feel himself fading faster now. He leaned down and kissed her, a deep, desperate kiss that seemed to pour all his remaining life into her. He held it until he saw her eyes slowly return to their normal, beautiful blue. He pulled back, his time running out. "I'll wait," he said, his voice a fading echo. "I'll wait for the day you come find me. And when you do, we'll finish what we started." "Ethan, Lily, I love you. Now and forever. That will never change. I love you too." Lily reached up to embrace him, but her arms closed on empty air. In the space where he had been just a moment before, there was only a wisp of white light that quickly vanished into the blinding void around them. She curled her fingers into a fist, her strength gone. Surrounded by the piercing white light, she collapsed onto the ground. "He's gone," she whispered, her voice hollow. "I lost him." She sat there like a beautiful, broken doll, her soul scooped out and discarded. Was this the end? Or was it all just a dream? Just then, she felt a warmth on her chest. The ruby charm, Ethan's charm, was glowing with the same white light. This is... The robotic emptiness in her eyes vanished, replaced by a flicker of shock. She quickly pulled the charm from her neck, clutching it in her palm. The light. It was because of this charm that Ethan disappeared. Could it be? The thought ignited a desperate hope within her. She gripped the ruby as if it were the most precious treasure in the universe, staring at her hands with breathless anticipation. 1 second, 2, 3. On the 211th second, she gasped. Her own body was beginning to fade, turning translucent just as Ethan's had. A jolt of pure, ecstatic energy shot through her. She pushed herself up from the ground, her eyes locked on the glowing ruby. "Ethan," she said, life flooding back in her face, a beautiful, determined smile gracing her lips. "I told you, you can never, ever get away from me." She looked down at herself. The process was identical to Ethan's. Her body was becoming more transparent by the second. "Wait for me, Ethan," she sang, her voice filled with triumphant joy. "I'm coming to find you." And with those final words, she vanished completely into the white space. A sliver of sunlight pierced the window, falling across the face of a young man in a hospital bed. Ugh! Ethan's eyes fluttered open. His head felt heavy, as if it had been stuffed with cotton. This awful feeling. This is the second time. He slowly pushed himself up, his eyes taking in his surroundings. A wave of shock hit him. The sterile white ceiling, the thin hospital gown on his body, the four-stand and medical monitors beside the bed. It all assaulted his senses. This is a hospital room? How? He touched his own cheek, his brow furrowing. Wait, why am I in a hospital? Wasn't I at my wedding? Drip, drip. The four-bag steadily fed glucose into his veins, a lifeline keeping his body functioning. "Lily," he muttered, his voice raw. "I have to find Lily. She needs me. She has nightmares if I'm not there to hold her." He couldn't wait another second. He fumbled his way to the edge of the bed, but the moment his feet touched the floor, his legs, weak from disuse, gave out from under him. He collapsed. Rip! The four-needle was violently torn from the back of his hand, but he barely noticed the pain. He started crawling, dragging himself across the cold linoleum floor. "Ethan! Ethan!" Lily's voice echoed in his mind, a mantra fueling his desperate crawl toward the door. He used the doorknob to pull himself up, his body trembling as he chanted her name. "Lily, where are you? Lily!" As he was about to open the door, a mirror on the adjacent wall caught his eye. A haggard, pale-faced young man stared back at him. Despite the exhaustion, the features were undeniably handsome. "How is this possible?" Ethan gasped. The person in the mirror was him. To be precise, it was the original him. I'm back." Click. The door opened, and a middle-aged woman appeared in the doorway. "Son, you're awake." "Mom." Ethan was stunned. The woman was his mother, Claire White. Claire covered her mouth, her eyes wide with disbelief. Then she rushed forward, pulling him into a fierce hug. "Finally, you're finally awake. Do you have any idea how scared I was?" she sobbed, her tears soaking his shoulder. "You've been in a coma for almost a month. The doctors couldn't find anything wrong. Your father and I, we were terrified. I'm back in my own world." "What are you talking about, sweetie? You're talking nonsense. Come on, back to bed. I'll go get the doctor." In a daze, Ethan was led back to his bed and tucked in by his mother. After a few minutes of trying to process everything, the facts began to sink in. He had collapsed in his dorm room and been rushed to the hospital. For some unknown reason, he'd been in a coma for a month. So, in the end, I was just unconscious for a month. Then what was all of that? Was it a dream? The thought sent his world spinning. His time with Lily, their entire life together, felt so real, so visceral. He had been there for nearly half a year. How could it all have been a fantasy? A figment of my comatose mind? No, it's impossible. It felt too real to be a dream. Lily is waiting for me to find her. He clenched his jaw, a surge of strength returning to his legs. Pushing himself up, he stumbled out of the room. The hospital corridor was quiet, with only a few family members pacing outside other rooms. Lily, Lily, he mumbled, wandering aimlessly down the hall. He had to find her, but he had no idea where to even start. Or worse, what if? What if a person named Lily Foster never even existed in this world? No, she has to exist. She has to, he whispered frantically to himself. She said she'd find me, no matter when, no matter where. She'll find me. Without any direction, he staggered like a lost soul, muttering things no one could understand, drawing confused glances from the few people nearby. What's with that kid? I don't know. Looks like he just got his heart broken. Heartbreak? How can you tell? Because he keeps repeating a girl's name. His legs, still unaccustomed to walking, buckled. He stumbled and fell to the floor with a thud. Just as he fell, a dark shadow in a dimly lit stairwell down the hall took a hesitant step forward, then quickly retreated back into the darkness. Son, why are you out of bed again? Claire came running, her voice filled with worry. She helped the listless Ethan up from the floor. Are you okay? Did you hurt yourself anywhere? Mom, my heart hurts, he said, his voice hollow. Your heart? Did you hit your chest when you fell? No, it's because she doesn't exist in my world. Name? Ethan White. Sex? Male. Favorite thing? Ethan paused, his head drooping. Lily. He started, then caught himself. Blue eyes. Blue eyes, the doctor repeated, looking curiously from his chart to a nervous Claire. Don't worry, Mrs. White. The patient is physically fine. It's likely he's just disoriented from being in a coma for so long. You should be back to normal after some rest. Is that so? Oh, thank goodness. Yes. We'll continue to monitor him for the next few days. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have another situation to check on next door. Okay, thank you so much, doctor. After the doctor left, Claire let out a long sigh of relief. She gently tapped Ethan on the head. Honey, what's gotten into you? It's like your whole personality has changed. You were never this intense before. It's nothing, Mom. I just want to be alone for a bit. All right, fine. Your father is on his way. I'm going to go take care of the discharge paperwork. Press the call button if you need anything. After she left, Ethan was alone again, staring blankly at the ceiling. Was it really just a dream? But why did it feel so real? He went to unbutton the collar of his gown to get some air when his fingers brushed against something hanging around his neck. A small, carved ruby charm. This is it. Ethan carefully lifted the charm from his neck, cradling it in his palm to examine it. That's right, he whispered, his voice trembling. It's the one. Staring at the ruby, identical to the one from his memories, he could no longer control his emotions. 2 lines of tears streamed down his cheeks, though his face remained a mask of shock. It wasn't a dream. It wasn't fake. She exists. She has to exist. He clutched the charm tightly, his gaze drifting to the setting sun outside the window. Lily, where are you? Clang. A faint noise echoed from outside his room, followed by the sound of hurried footsteps fading away. Lost in his own grief, Ethan paid it no mind. Squeak as the door to another hospital room opened. Lena stood up from her chair, her hands on her hips in a mock scolding pose. Lily, were you sneaking out again? Lily offered an apologetic grin, hopping back on her bed, seemingly in high spirits. I was just so bored lying here. I had to go for a walk. Oh, Lena sighed, her stern expression melting away instantly. It was impossible to stay mad at her beloved daughter. Lily, you have to understand. You just woke up from such a long coma. Your health is the most important thing right now. I know, Mom. Lily swung her legs happily, paying little attention to Lena's words. She held her own ruby charm up, letting the light of the setting sun pass through it. That's right. It's him. The situation is basically this. We have no idea why a patient who was in a deep coma for so long would suddenly wake up. We monitored all her vitals daily, and there were absolutely no warning signs, the doctor in the office explained, his brow furrowed. He looked at the man sitting across from him. Mr. Blackwood, forgive me for being blunt. A case like your daughter's, recovery is statistically impossible. She was in a state of total sensory deprivation, her consciousness completely walled off. For her to be the first documented case of a full recovery from this condition, it's a medical miracle. Damian Blackwood stroked his chin, pondering this for a moment. Doctor, are you saying Lily woke up on her own? Yes and no, the doctor said, taking a sip of water. It's possible she awoke through sheer force of will, but I don't favor that theory. If that were the case, she likely would have woken up much sooner. Then what is your theory, doctor? That someone, or something, stimulated her, allowing her to break out of this pseudo-death state? That is my current hypothesis. Damian fell silent, closing his eyes in thought. Hello, excuse me. Claire White walked in, holding a report. Doctor, my son's test came back clear. Can I process his discharge now? Of course. Great, thank. Oh, Claire's eyes landed on Damian. Aren't you the father of the girl in the room next to ours? Oh, it's you. My wife has mentioned you, Damian said, a flicker of recognition in his eyes. From the look on your face, I take it your child has woken up as well. Yes. Has yours woken up too? Claire asked, surprised. As it happens, yes. My daughter also woke up today. Well, what a coincidence, Claire said with a small, relieved smile. All right, I won't disturb you any longer. I'll be on my way. As he watched her leave, Damian let out a slow breath. Is this really just a coincidence? Son, are you okay? Mark White burst into the room, rushing to Ethan's side. Dad, I'm fine. Ethan managed a small smile before his gaze returned to the sunset. You scared your mother and me half to death, you know that? Mark said, relieved to see Ethan was lucid. So what's with the long face? Something on your mind? Dad, what do you do when you've lost something or someone important, but you have no idea where to even begin looking for them? That's simple, Mark said with a shrug. You go find them, but I don't know where to look. I don't even know if they still exist in this world. Whether they exist or not, I can't say. But I know one thing. If you don't look, you'll never know for sure. And maybe, just maybe, while you're out there looking, they'll be looking for you too. Ethan looked at the fading light of the sunset and smiled. Yeah, the sun is still here. She must be out there too. You crazy kid, Mark chuckled, shaking his head. He knew his son was lovesick, but he couldn't for the life of him figure out how. The boy had just woken up from a month-long coma. Within a few hours, Ethan was discharged. As he walked down the hospital corridor, a shadowy figure slipped out from the room next door and darted into his now empty one. Lying on Ethan's bed, Lily's eyes narrowed with delight. She pulled the covers up over her face and inhaled deeply. Ethan, wait for me, Ethan. As soon as I'm out of this hospital, I'm coming for you. But for now, let me get a little taste of you. Strange, Ethan murmured, touching the back of his neck as he got into the car. I feel a familiar presence, but I can't quite place it. After a week of resting at home, Ethan announced he was going for a walk by the pond alone. Claire, seeing he was getting better, readily agreed. Sitting on the soft grass, Ethan watched the still water of the pond as he waited for the sunset. As the red sun finally dipped below the horizon, the hope in his expression faded with it. It really is beautiful, the sunset. No wonder Lily loved it so much. But I guess she can't see it anymore. Just as he was lost in his melancholy, a strange voice sounded from behind him. Why are you sitting by the pond, all alone? It was a girl's voice, but it sounded intentionally low and husky, as if she were pinching her throat. Because I'm waiting for someone. Waiting for who? Ethan kept his gaze on the horizon. I'm waiting for a girl who promised she'd appear before me at sunset in her most beautiful form. The sunset is still here. But she's not. Oh, is that so? The girl said, nodding thoughtfully, a smile never leaving her lips. She patted down her skirt and sat beside Ethan on the grass. Ethan frowned, about to get up and leave, but the girl spoke again, stopping him. The sun will always set, but I will always be with you. This time, her voice wasn't strange. It was clear, melodious, and achingly familiar. Hearing her playful tone, Ethan's eyes widened. He whipped his head around, and the sight before him left him breathless. Blue eyes, long, raven-black hair, and a flowing white dress. Every iconic detail was there, screaming at him that the girl before him was the one he had been desperately waiting for. Lily, is that you? Ethan's voice came out as a hoarse rasp, his trembling hands not knowing what to do. What do you think, Ethan? Lily took one of his hands and placed it on her cheek. I told you, you can never escape the palm of my hand. Mwahaha oof. Before she could finish her playful taunt, Ethan lunged, tackling her into a hug as they both tumbled onto the soft grass. So this is what the real you looks like, Lily murmured, lying on her back as she reached up to stroke his face, her expression one of pure, intoxicated bliss. I like it very much. Lily, I knew you were still here. Ethan yelled, pulling her into a crushing embrace. Lily hugged him back just as tightly, pressing her lips to his ear and whispering, in this lifetime, we have to be together forever too. Okay, yeah, together forever, Ethan whispered, closing his eyes and inhaling her scent. The frantic anxiety that had been clawing at him finally subsided. Who? After a while, when she noticed he hadn't moved, Lily shifted slightly and saw that he had fallen fast asleep. "Looks like this whole ordeal really wore you out," she whispered. She gently guided his head onto her lap, then leaned down and pressed a soft kiss to his lips. "I'm sorry, Ethan. And thank you, Ethan." "Huh? Why did I fall asleep? Where's Lily?" Ethan's eyes shot open, staring up at the dark night sky. He tried to push himself up. "Hey, why is the ground so slippery?" He put his hand down and immediately sensed something was wrong. He looked back. Lily was there, her head tilted with a mischievous smile. "I didn't expect the real-world Ethan to be even naughtier, but I like it a lot." No, Lily, you've got it all wrong. I, Ethan White, am a perfect gentleman," he protested, trying to stand up to defend his honor. But in the dim light, he missed his footing and stumbled forward, falling right on top of her again. Lily slowly looked down, then back up at him, a faint blush dusting her cheeks. I can see that Ethan is a very upstanding gentleman indeed." Later, they found a quiet coffee shop and took a corner booth. The entire way there, Lily clung to Ethan's arm, her eyes never once leaving his face. "What is it, Lily? Is there something wrong with how I look?" "No matter how I look at you, Ethan, I could never get tired of the view," she purred, leaning in to plant a quick kiss on his cheek. "So, Ethan, when are we going to finish what we started?" Ethan nearly spit out his coffee. "What are you talking about, Lily? I told you that was an accident." "What's going on in that head of yours, Ethan? I was talking about this." Lily pointed to a large billboard across the street, an advertisement for diamond wedding rings. "Ahem." Ethan cleared his throat, trying to regain his composure. "I knew you meant that. I was just joking." "Oh, is that so?" As a good wife-to-be, Lily knew she had to protect her husband's pride, so she let it slide. "As for what you're talking about, I've already got a plan for that," Ethan said, taking her hand and pressing a tender kiss to the back of it. "For the rest of our lives, we will never be apart." "Okay," Lily leaned her head against his chest, her voice sweet. Never apart, they continued their public display of affection until a waiter politely informed them that the shop was closing. Left with no choice, they began walking down the street. "Lily, you said you were in the hospital too? And in the room right next to mine?" "Yep, and I was in a coma the whole time before you showed up." Lily kicked at a small pebble on the sidewalk, then stopped. "But ever since you came, Ethan, everything changed for me. My world became so colorful and warm. You're the angel heaven sent to save me." She clasped her hands together, looking at him with deep affection. "Ethan, I love you, Lily." At that moment, Ethan felt that meeting a girl as wonderful as Lily made his bizarre coma feel like a stroke of destiny. "I love you too, Lily." "Oh, by the way, Lily," he said, pulling her closer, "if we're together now, do you think your parents will approve?" "Well," Lily grabbed his arm and started pulling him forward. "That's not really up to them, is it?" Ding dong. Lena swung the door open. "Lily, welcome home." Her voice jumped several octaves when she saw Ethan. From the kitchen, Damian Blackwood, still wearing an apron, rushed out to see what the commotion was. He too froze, his eyes wide with disbelief. What was going on? His daughter goes out for a walk and brings a boy home, and they look very, very close. Dad, Mom," Ethan started, then quickly corrected himself. "Mr. Blackwood, Mrs. Blackwood. Hello. He even knows our names." Damian was completely bewildered. He looked at Lily's shy, blushing face, and his heart felt like it was being twisted in a vice. "My prize cabbage, barely ripe, has already been rooted up by this punk pig. Here, have some water, dear." Lena, as gentle and considerate as ever, was only briefly surprised by Ethan's arrival. She began to discreetly study him. She knew her daughter well enough to know that being alone with a boy at night was a big deal. But as long as this boy was wholeheartedly devoted to Lily, she wouldn't interfere. Damian, on the other hand, had other ideas. From the moment Ethan sat down, he stared daggers at him, tracking his every move. The intensity of his glare sent a chill down Ethan's spine. "Thank you, ma'am," Ethan said, taking the glass and setting it on the table, his mind racing. "Lena is still the same, and Damian, he's still the same too. If I may ask, son, how did you and Lily meet?" Well, Ethan didn't know how to answer. He couldn't exactly say, "Oh, our souls have been intertwined for ages, so we were naturally drawn to each other." "Mom, Ethan and I have actually known each other for a long time," Lily interjected, saving him. "I just never told you. You've known each other for a long time?" In Lena's memory, Lily had always been a solitary child, rarely speaking to anyone. How could she suddenly have a boyfriend? But when Lena saw how tightly Lily was clinging to Ethan, she relaxed. Her daughter had never acted like this before. In fact, it seemed like Lily was the one who had made the first move. "Lily, can I talk to you alone for a moment?" Lena asked, standing up to confirm her suspicions. "Okay." Though Lily was reluctant to leave Ethan's side, she followed her mother to put her mind at ease. As she left, she glanced back at Damian. Dad, you'd better be nice to Ethan. If you're not, I'll never forgive you. A pained, forced smile spread across Damian's face. Lily, what are you talking about? He's our guest. Why would I ever kick him out? He emphasized the words kick him out, his displeasure obvious. Good. Ethan, you be good and wait for me, okay? I will. After Lena and Lily left the room, Damian's expression turned deadly serious. He looked straight at Ethan, and his next words left him utterly stunned. You're the one who woke Lily from her coma, aren't you? What? Ethan was shocked. How could Damian possibly know about what happened in the other world? Could he have been there too? It seems I was right. Seeing Ethan's conflicted expression, Damian's suspicion was confirmed. He stood up straight and gave Ethan a slight, formal bow. Thank you. Mr. Blackwood, what are you doing? Ethan scrambled to his feet and helped him up, his face a mask of confusion. Without you, Lily probably would have never woken up, Damian said with a sigh. She's been a withdrawn child ever since she was little. She never had any friends. Her mother and I tried to help her, but nothing worked. Then one day, we found her collapsed in her bedroom, and she's been asleep ever since. He patted Ethan's shoulder. So I owe you my deepest thanks. You were the boy in the room next to hers, right? My wife and I met your parents. Sir, your deduction skills are incredible. So you admit it, Damian said with a small smile. But you have to promise me you'll treat Lily well for the rest of your life. Otherwise, you'll have a lot of trouble on your hands. Don't worry, sir. Not just this lifetime, but the next one and the one after that. I, Ethan White, will only ever be good to Lily Foster. Damian nodded, his mind flashing back to his conversation with the doctor. If someone did cause Lily to wake up, wouldn't that have been incredibly difficult? The whole idea sounds so metaphysical, Damian had said, frowning. Based on the extensive research I've done, I believe that when a patient falls into this type of coma, their brain constructs a complete, self-contained world. All of their sensory perception and consciousness is transferred into this world they've created. That's why they appear to be in a state of pseudo-death, the doctor explained, adjusting his glasses. So, are you suggesting someone entered Lily's mental world and broke that structure, allowing her consciousness to return to her own body? It may sound far-fetched, but that's the general idea. But I have to say, if that's what happened, this person is extraordinary. In a mental world, when a stranger enters, what do you think happens? The world would try to eliminate the intruder. Exactly. The doctor pointed to a poster on the door depicting immune cells fighting a virus. If we think of that person as a virus trying to invade the body's immune system will try to eliminate it. If it gets eliminated, that person, well, they might never wake up again. To put another way, if this person entered the patient's mental world, they would likely face all sorts of threats designed to erase them from existence. But from the looks of it now, this person seems to be quite capable. If Ethan had heard this, he would have died of secondhand embarrassment on the spot. The entire time, it had been Lily's show. He had just been the sidekick shouting encouragement from the sidelines. With that memory, Damian's prejudice against Ethan began to fade. Looks like my wonderful son-in-law is ready. Suddenly, Lena's voice came from behind him. And Mrs. Blackwood, Lily. Ethan turned to see Lena smiling at him, while Lily's eyes shone with pure love. Ethan, Lily threw herself into his arms, her face beaming with happiness. Mom said we could be together. From now on, we can live just like we did before. Yes, for the rest of my life, I am yours to command, Ethan said, wrapping an arm around Lily's slender waist and kissing her deeply. Watching how lively and happy Lily was, Lena was moved. She recalled her conversation with her daughter moments ago. Lily had dispelled all her doubts with just a few sentences. Lily, why did you suddenly fall for that boy? Is there something special about him? To me, he is special, Lily had said, her expression full of longing and hope. After all, it was Ethan who saved me. Years later, a little girl with a ponytail was running gleefully along the seashore, her tiny feet leaving a trail of prints in the sand. She had a touch of baby fat on her cheeks, making her look utterly adorable. Her fair skin and light blue eyes were a clear sign that she would grow up to be a beauty. This is so much fun. The girl suddenly stopped, squatting down to watch a small crab scuttling toward the ocean. Aurora, slow down, a young boy's voice called from behind her. A handsome, though still boyishly young, child walked up. HM? Brother, Aurora smiled at Silas, her blue eyes as bright and dazzling as the sea. Didn't you say you didn't want to be in the sun? Why did you follow me? Silly, Silas said, patting her little head affectionately. I was worried about you, of course. You know how Mom and Dad are. At the mention of their parents, Silas's face darkened as an unpleasant memory surfaced. He vaguely recalled a time when he was just old enough to understand things. He'd gone to the bathroom one evening and heard his father's pained cries coming from his parents' bedroom. What happened to Dad? Is there a burglar in the house? The thought had sent him scrambling to the kitchen for a fruit knife. He tiptoed to his parents' door and peeked through the tiny crack. It was too dark to see anything, but the conversation he overheard stunned his young mind. "Oh, Lily, please. Let me go. I have to work tomorrow." A bewitching voice whispered in the dark. "I know you have to work tomorrow, Ethan. That's precisely why I'm doing this. And keep your voice down. We don't want to wake the children." "Lily, MMPH, MMPH." Ethan tried to say more, but he was physically silenced by Lily. A dead quiet fell over the room. Silas, trembling, quietly closed the door. He couldn't see what was happening, but he knew it was a private matter between his parents, and he shouldn't interfere. He returned the knife to the kitchen, went to the bathroom, and when he got back to his room, he found Aurora had snuck into his bed. "Aurora? What are you doing here?" he asked. Aurora had wrapped herself in his blanket, shivering. "Brother, I had a nightmare, but Mom and Dad's door was locked, so I came here." "It's okay, I'm here," Silas said, patting her back comfortingly. Aurora hugged him tightly, her fear gradually dissipating in his presence. Eventually, the two little ones fell asleep in each other's arms. At that moment, their bedroom door creaked open, revealing a single, pale blue eye. Seeing that all was quiet, Lily returned to her own bedroom. She looked at the completely unconscious Ethan and stretched lazily. "I'm sorry, my darlings. Mommy is just helping you keep a good eye on your daddy. I'm sure you'll understand, right?" "You know what?" Aurora asked on the beach, standing up after the crab had disappeared. "Nothing," Silas said, shaking his head. He couldn't very well tell her that he'd been forced to come out here under various threats from their mother. "Silas, why don't you go play with your sister?" "I don't want to, Mom. I don't want to get a tan," Silas said, sitting under the large beach umbrella. "Lily, if Silas doesn't want to go, then just let." Ethan started to say, but a single sharp glance from Lily silenced him. "Silas, good boys listen to their mothers, Lily said, her voice deceptively sweet and gentle. Silas immediately sat up straight. I suddenly feel like playing now," he stammered, then scurried away without looking back. After Silas was gone, Lily licked her lips and turned her gaze to Ethan. "Hubby, now it's time for our honeymoon." "Oh," Aurora tilted her head. She didn't understand, but she nodded anyway. "So where are we going to play now, brother?" Just then, a group of little boys walked over. When they saw Silas and Aurora, one of them asked, "Are you guys here to play too? Want to join us?" Aurora's eyes lit up, and she was about to clap her hands in excitement when Silas grabbed her hand. His face was cold, a complete transformation from the gentle older brother he had been moments before. "Sorry," he said flatly. "My sister and I have other things to do." He then led Aurora away from the beach, leaving the other boys confused. "Brother, why couldn't we play with them?" Aurora asked as they walked. "Aurora, from now on, you have to keep your distance from boys, understand?" Silas said, sounding like a mature adult. "And if you make any friends, you have to tell me." "Okay, I get it," Aurora nodded. She didn't understand why, but she knew her brother and her parents would never hurt her. "Aurora, I will always protect you. No one else is allowed to even touch you," Silas thought, his brow furrowing with a new resolve. He didn't know it yet, but the seeds of what some might call a sister complex had just been planted in his heart. He. Aurora just smiled happily. For her, as long as her family was happy, she was happy. "Come on, Aurora, we should go back." Okay, Silas took her small hand, and they walked away from the shore, leaving two long sets of footprints behind them. Ethan Lily cooed, snuggling against him and burrowing her head into his chest. "A life like this is so wonderful." "It is," Ethan said, stroking her hair, which made her eyes close contentedly. "Being with you, Lily, is the greatest happiness of my life." "Wrong," Lily said, sticking out her tongue playfully. "It's 2 lifetimes." "Oh, right, 2 lifetimes." They watched the sunset over the ocean, looked at each other, and smiled, their heads leaning together. "This is our secret." "Yes, just our secret." The end. "My love," a sweet voice cooed, gently pulling Ethan from his sleep. The first thing he saw was Lily, wearing an apron with her hair in a ponytail, her face just inches from his. He could smell the faint, fragrant scent of her skin. "Lily, why are you up so early?" "Did my love forget that it's a workday today?" "No, I didn't forget. But what does that have to do with you getting up early?" "Nothing." Lily pulled back, her voice light and airy. "Breakfast is almost ready. You should get up, sweetie. I'm gonna go wake the kids." "Oh, 'kay," Ethan mumbled, scratching his head, completely baffled by her intentions. Click. As she flipped on the light switch in the next room, Lily's voice rang out. Silas, time to get up. She trailed off, noticing that he was already dressed and neatly folding his blanket. Good morning, Mom, Silas said with a bright, sunny smile. Well, look at my self-disciplined little boy. I'll leave the task of waking Aurora to you then. I'm going to go get your breakfast ready. Lily patted his head affectionately and disappeared. Okay, Mom. Silas blinked, then headed for his sister's room. Squeak, he opened the door to find Aurora curled up on her bed, hugging a pillow. A sweet smile was on her face, as if she were having a wonderful dream. Who? Watching her sleep so peacefully, Silas couldn't bring himself to wake her. Aurora is so cute, even when she's sleeping. Just then, Aurora mumbled in her sleep. I'm not late today, miss. Oh, for crying out loud. Is she dreaming about school? He immediately started shaking her awake, knowing she'd be late for real if he didn't. Aurora sat up groggily, letting out a big yawn. When she saw who had woken her, she shook her head adorably. Good morning, brother. Morning, Aurora. Time to get up. Mom already made breakfast. Okay. When the siblings were washed up and seated at the dining table, Silas noticed his mother sipping elegantly from a bowl of chicken soup, her eyes fixed on his father's bowl. Huh, is there something in Dad's bowl? Silas leaned over to look. Ethan's bowl was filled to the brim with bright red berries that looked delicious. Aurora noticed too. Daddy, what are those red berries? Why don't brother and I have any? Her question snapped Ethan out of his daze. He explained awkwardly. This is grown-up breakfast. It's for, building strength. Hith. Wow, I want some too. Aurora hopped off her chair, about to run to Ethan, but she was suddenly lifted into the air. Before she knew it, she was in Lily's arms. Lily shot Ethan a look that clearly said, eat them, now, then gently pinched Aurora's chubby cheek. Sweetie, don't bother your daddy. He has to go to work today. If he doesn't eat a full breakfast, he might starve to death at the office. Ethan? Silas. Aurora seemed to half understand. She put a finger to her lips. No, I don't want Daddy to starve at the office. I won't eat them. That's Mommy's good girl. Lily kissed her forehead. It's about time. Silas, take Aurora to school. The driver is waiting downstairs. Okay, Mom. Silas grabbed their backpacks from the sofa and took Aurora's hand, leading her out the door. Cough, cough. Choking slightly, Ethan swallowed the last goji berry and picked up his briefcase. Well, I should probably... Wait a moment. Ethan Lily's hand hooked the back of his collar. Did you forget something? She purred. And no. Lily leaned in closer, her voice a seductive whisper. Given that you're going to work today, even though it's your parents' company, one still has to take precautions. Suddenly, a hand snaked around to his back. So, my love will surely understand, right? Lily, don't mess around. I'm going to be late for MMPH. As Silas was closing the front door, he noticed his dad still hadn't left. He glanced back curiously and saw a pair of crimson eyes staring at him from the crack in the door. A chill shot straight up his spine, and he slammed the door shut, trembling. Aurora looked at her shivering brother. What's wrong, brother? You don't look so good. And nothing. Come on, Aurora, let's hurry. Oh, okay. A special side store. Leo King lay on his bed, sighing dramatically. Why do I feel like I've lost something important, but I can't for the life of me remember what it was? Whatever. I should get ready to pick up Zoe. We're supposed to go to the amusement park today. Leo sprang out of bed with a flourish and picked out a handsome, casual outfit from his closet. I bet Zoe will fall for me all over again the second she sees me. Ring, ring, ring. Click. Two sounds occur at once. Just as Leo was admiring himself in the mirror, his phone rang. He knew exactly who it was, but while he heard the phone, he missed the sound of his front door quietly opening. He answered the call without looking. Hey, baby, don't be impatient. Let me just get ready, and I'll come get you. You just wait for me, Bang! Before he could finish, a tremendous crash came from his bedroom door, followed by the sound of a blade sinking into wood. Thwack! What was that? Leo jumped away from the closet, his senses on high alert. Who's out there? Just as he spoke, the lock on his door rattled, as if someone were using a key to open it. That's not right, Leo thought. It sounds like they have a key, but besides my parents, who are at work, the only other person with a key is Zoe. You can't be telling me the person outside is my sweet, adorable Zoe. The scene that followed left him speechless. The door creaked open, and a single, narrowed eye appeared in the crack. It can't really be Zoe, can it? Zoe, is that you? Leo asked timidly. The door remained cracked open, the eye inside darting around the room, as if scanning for something. Seemingly satisfied that the room was safe, the door closed again. A moment later, there was another sharp sound, and the door swung wide open. Leo's eyes widened in shock at the person standing there. Zoe, it really is you. Just as he'd feared, the person was indeed Zoe Reed. She was wearing a blue Lolita dress with a pair of black leather boots, looking like a princess straight out of a fairy tale. But despite her stunning outfit, Leo's attention was fixed on the deep gash in his wooden door and the kitchen knife she was holding behind her back. Wait a minute, isn't that the knife from my kitchen? What is it doing in your hand? And you nearly chopped my door in half. While Leo was reeling, Zoe spoke, her voice deceptively sweet. Leo, who were you just on the phone with? Calling them baby and everything. You sounded very close. She took a step toward him, her hands still behind her back. Leo panicked, backing away. Zoe, what are you doing? I wasn't on the phone with anyone. I thought the call was from you. Shing. A glint of sunlight from the window reflected off the knife as she brought it into view, flashing in Leo's eyes. Liar. You were just talking so sweetly to them. Do you have someone else you like now, Leo? Ha ha ha, I knew it. Everything you said about liking me was a lie. Seeing the unfocused, dangerous look in her eyes, Leo knew he was in deep trouble. He had a strange feeling he'd been in a situation just like this before, but the memory was hazy. He had to calm her down fast. He quickly pulled out his phone and showed her the call log. Zoe, look, the call was from a spam number. See? It says scam likely right there. You're overthinking things. A sliver of rationality remained in Zoe's mind. She looked at his phone. Sure enough, the top call on a list was from an unknown number, flagged as spam, just as he said. She blinked rapidly, took the phone, and examined the time and number closely. Satisfied, she turned around and walked out of the bedroom without another word. A moment later, to Leo's bewilderment, she walked back in, minus the knife. Good afternoon, Leo. We're going to the amusement park today, remember? Oh, for crying out loud. Are you just going to pretend that never happened? Zoe, just now you... She tilted her head, her voice playful again. Leo, is your brain getting cluttered with incorrect memories? Do you need me to perform a factory reset? Ahem. Good afternoon, Zoe. We should probably get going. The ever-adaptable Leo quickly took her hand and led her out of the room. The moment they arrived at the amusement park, Zoe started tugging on Leo's hand. Leo, I want ice cream, of course, Leo said, puffing out his chest. Whatever my Zoe wants, there's nothing Leo King can't get. Leo, you're the best. Zoe stood on her tiptoes, gave him a quick kiss on the cheek, and then licked her lips. So, what if I wanted to eat you? What was that, Zoe? You want vanilla-flavored ice cream? Got it. Leo pretended he hadn't heard, then scurried off toward the ice cream stand. Watching him flee, Zoe felt a primal thrill, the hunter enjoying the chase before slowly devouring her prey. Sigh, Leo thought, waiting in line. Why does Zoe get so strange sometimes? It's like I have amnesia about something important. And this ice cream stand, it feels so familiar, like I've been here with someone else before. Just as he was lost in thought, a pair of small hands wrapped around him from behind. A voice whispered right next to his ear. What are you thinking about, Leo? You look so preoccupied. Did you see another pretty girl? But Leo remained calm, placing his hands over hers. I did see a very pretty girl, he said, his voice deep and sincere. But she's right here in my arms. Oh, you're so cheesy, Zoe giggled, and the chill on Leo's back began to warm. But I like it. By the way, Zoe, Leo said, his fingers tracing the soft skin of her hand. Doesn't this park and this ice cream stand feel familiar? Like we've been here before, and not just the two of us. Zoe tilted her head up. Now that you mention it, it does feel a little familiar. But the memory is so fuzzy. But her tone shifted, and she puffed out her cheeks. Don't you think it's a little rude to be thinking about other things when you're on a date with me? You're right. I'm sorry. Leo quickly realized his mistake and apologized profusely. Oof. I'll forgive you for now, but you have to promise me one thing. Okay, anything you want, Zoe. Even if you wanted me served on a platter, I'd prepare myself for you. Really? Zoe's eyes took on a subtle glint as she bit her lower lip. Then, can I have the milk-flavored Leo? Leo blinked, seizing the opportunity to take the ice cream from the vendor and hand it to her. Zoe, here, eat up. A vanilla ice cream, delivered by yours truly. He mentally patted himself on the back. Look at me, thinking on my feet. A textbook perfect save. Zoe, however, didn't take the ice cream. Instead, she steadied his arm with one hand, tucked a stray strand of hair behind her ear with the other, and leaned in to eat the ice cream directly from his hand. ZZ, Zoe, what are you doing? Leo's hand trembled, his triumphant demeanor instantly replaced by that of a flustered weakling. HM. Zoe looked up at his beet-red face and tilted her head, a smear of ice cream still on her cheek. I'm eating ice cream. Is there a problem, Leo? A big problem. Leo quickly pulled her into a more secluded alleyway. Zoe, you can't eat ice cream like that. I can't. I was just afraid of getting in my hair. It's so hard to wash out. Your mind is the one in the gutter, Leo. He never thought Zoe would turn the tables on him like that. But thinking back, she was just eating the ice cream. Maybe I really am just overthinking things? Yummy. Zoe finished the last bite of the cone and licked the crumbs from her lips. Leo, can I have another one tonight? Tonight? I don't know if the ice cream shop will still be open then. It's okay, Zoe whispered, tracing a heart on his chest. Even if it's closed, it's okay. As they entered the park, they saw a person in a frog mascot costume standing in the central plaza, hawking smaller versions of itself to the crowd. Leo, I want a baby, Zoe shouted, pointing at the little frog toys. Her shout wasn't a problem in itself, but the entire crowd, including the frog mascot, turned to stare at a completely flustered Leo. He was so embarrassed he could have dug a hole and buried himself. Zoe, he hissed. That sounds so weird. Please explain what you mean. Zoe nodded, then leaned close to him and whispered loudly enough for everyone to hear. Leo, I want you to give me a baby. A wave of murmurs rippled through the crowd. Even the frog mascot's jaw dropped, its gaze fixed on the petrified Leo. Zoe, that's your explanation? HM? Was it not clear enough? She asked, blinking innocently. I already said. Before she could say another word, Leo knew he couldn't stay there a second longer. If she said anything else, he was going to end up a viral meme. He yanked a bill from his pocket, rushed over to the still gawking mascot, stuffed the money into its mouth, snatched a frog toy, and dragged Zoe away from the scene without looking back. The frog mascot swallowed the money, then looked at the bill in its hand, lost in thought. I feel like this has happened before. Back when I was playing a clown in the haunted house, a guest gave me money then, too, but I can't quite remember. Huh. Leo bent over, hands on his knees, panting for breath. He glanced back to make sure no one was following before collapsing onto a park bench. Leo, why did you run? Zoe asked, cuddling the frog toy as she sat beside him. Zoe, you're seriously asking me that? What you said back, there was a huge problem. How? I just said I wanted a child, she cooed, hugging the toy tightly while her eyes remained fixed on Leo. That's not a child. It's a toy. If you had just said that clearly, I wouldn't have been so mortified. Leo snatched the frog toy from her and smacked it on the head in frustration. This is all your fault. You and your mother. The frog toy lit up as if mocking him. Leo, what are you doing? Zoe snatched it back, cradling it protectively. He's just a baby. How could you hit him? Wait, are you serious? What do you mean serious? Zoe stroked the toy's head lovingly. It's okay, baby, mommy's here. Don't cry, don't cry. Leo was speechless. Zoe, what is this? You're not actually treating that thing like our child, are you? Well, what else am I supposed to do? She said, turning her head away. I'd love to have a real child, but Leo isn't proactive at all. What? Her words rendered him completely silent. Zoe, what did you just say? He's seeing his expression change. Zoe tossed the frog toy aside, flipped around, and leaned over him, looking down into his eyes. I said, Farmer Leo, my hard-working man, spring is here. It's time to prepare for the autumn harvest. Gulp. Leo swallowed hard. Staring into her bewitching eyes, he felt his blood begin to boil. Oh, she whispered, her arms wrapped around his neck. It seems the little seedling is already sprouting through the soil. Zoe, you started this. Leo could resist no longer. He swept the petite Zoe up into his arms and strode toward the park exit. Ah, Leo, wait. Zoe protested, gently drumming her fists on his back. We haven't even gone on any rides yet. We don't need to. Leo snorted, his voice filled with determination. Ferris wheels, roller coasters, bumper cars. I'll make sure you experience all of those things and more. But our baby, Zoe reached for the frog toy on the bench, but Leo gave her no chance, his long strides carrying them farther and farther away. There will be amusement parks, and there will be babies. Oh well, okay then, Zoe sighed with feigned disappointment. It was a shame they'd come all this way for nothing, but her ultimate goal had been achieved. Left to his own devices, the timid Leo would never have taken that step. Years later, a cute, bright-eyed little girl was artfully arranging various toppings on a piece of toast before taking a big bite. So yummy, she hummed, closing her eyes in bliss. The woman beside her smiled and patted the girl's head. Honey, look, our Haley has such a talent for food, just like me. Of course. It used to be one big foodie, and now we have a little one. Sigh, I guess a chef's work is never done, Leo said, placing the last steak in front of Zoe. My dear wife, your breakfast is served. Daddy, what about mine? Haley quickly swallowed her food, her voice urgent. Yes, there's one for you too. Leo then placed a smaller steak in front of his daughter. Zoe watched the scene, a blissful smile on her face. Her mind drifted back to when she first met Leo. Honey, do you remember when we first met? Sweetheart, how could I ever forget? You were starving while hiking up on Mount Crestview, and you happened to stumble upon me grilling. And just like that, we were together. That's right, Zoe propped her chin on her hand, forking a piece of steak and gently placing it in her mouth. Lily, thank you. I hope you and Ethan are living a happy life together. Honey, what did you say? Oh, nothing. I was just thinking of two old friends. The end. Author's note. The following is a self-contained story set in an alternate reality. The male protagonist is the original Ethan White of this world, not the one from our main story. Ugh. Coco Lowell's eyes fluttered open, a dull throb pulsing in her forehead. She tried to move, but her body was heavy, sluggish. Weak. I'm not dead. She looked around. The room smelled of antiseptic. A hospital room. Why? A tremor ran through her body as she bit down hard on her lower lip. Why is even dying so hard? I just want to be in the same world as Ethan. Is that too much to ask? A sudden, desperate strength flooded her limbs. Coco grabbed the cold metal rail of the hospital bed and pulled herself up. The wires taped to her body, and the 4-line in her hand tugged and swayed. Crash! The 4-stand toppled over. Coco fell with it, the needle ripping free from her arm. A trickle of dark red blood welled up, but she barely felt it. Oblivious to the pain, she began to crawl, dragging herself across the cold linoleum floor toward the window. Ethan! Ethan! She whispered, tears streaming down her face, carving clean paths through the grime. Coco's coming with you. Don't leave me alone. I'd be happy just to watch you from the side. I'd be so happy. Death was all she wanted now. It felt like the only release. Slowly, painfully, she reached the wall beneath the window. Using it for support, she shakily pushed herself to her feet. The sound of birds chirping outside, the brilliant blue of the sky, it was all colorless to her, a world of ash and gray. Ethan, I'm coming to be with. Just as she was about to hoist herself onto the windowsill, a glint of light from the corner of her eye made her flinch. Irritated, Coco glanced back toward her bed and froze. In her gray world, a splash of color. Next to her bed, someone was lying in another bed, fast asleep. Coco's pupils dilated. It wasn't just anyone. It was him. It was Ethan White. The words wouldn't come. The withered seedling of hope in her heart, long since turned to dust, began to sprout anew. The Ethan in the bed didn't stir. He was wearing an oxygen mask, his eyes closed, seemingly lost in a deep coma. Coco trembled as she took one step, then another, moving toward him until she was standing at his bedside. She sank down onto the edge of his mattress. Ethan, is it really you? She murmured, gazing at his sleeping face. Just then his eyes fluttered open. His gaze, hazy at first, focused on the blonde, pigtail girl in a hospital gown sitting beside him. A flicker of something, surprise, confusion, crossed his face. The sudden movement startled Coco. She quickly composed herself, her eyes locking onto his, waiting. She had to wait for him to speak first. The respirator hissed. Finally, in a weak, raspy voice, he spoke. Who are you? Coco was silent for a long moment. Then, she countered with a statement. Lily Foster is dead. A few seconds passed. Ethan replied softly, his voice full of confusion. Who's Lily Foster? Hearing that, Coco's heart stuttered. A realization bloomed in her mind. He's not the Ethan I knew, but the real Ethan is already. As her thoughts swirled in turmoil, Ethan spoke again, his voice a low murmur. I feel like I've seen you somewhere before. You look like a girl from my elementary school class. I think she moved away. Her parents worked overseas or something. Coco's appearance was distinctive, the golden hair, the petite frame. You're Ethan White? She asked, her voice trembling. Yeah, and if I remember correctly, you're Coco something. Coco Lowell, she blurted out, a wave of emotion washing over her. My name is Coco Lowell, Ethan. Right. I think that was it. He gave a weak nod. But why are you here? Why are you in the hospital, Ethan? She asked, turning the question back on him. I think I remember coming to Japan after graduation to see my parents. One day I was hiking and I think I fell. The next thing I knew, I was here. Is that right? Coco's eyes welled up with huge, crystalline tears. She looked out the window at the sky, a genuine smile finally breaking through her despair. Thank you, God. This time, I'm never letting go. As they talked, the distance between them began to shrink. I can't believe how much you've changed, Coco, Ethan said with a sigh. You really grew up. And you got even more handsome, Ethan. Her gaze never left his face, the sorrow that had clouded her features now replaced with a radiant smile. By the way, Ethan, from now on, can you just call me Coco? Of, of course, he stammered, a blush creeping up his neck. He tried to turn his head away, only then remembering he couldn't move. Did you have a lot of friends in school, Ethan? Well, not really. He gave a self-deprecating laugh. I'm pretty shy. I was basically invisible in class. Oh, Coco gasped, a wave of pure elation washing over her. The final weight lifted from her heart. It's perfect. A pure, untainted Ethan. He's practically tailor-made for me. As if a switch had been flipped, she felt a surge of energy. Playfully, she scrambled up onto his bed, snuggling up close beside him. Coco, what are you doing? Come on, Ethan, have a little pity on me, she said, putting on her most pathetic, doe-eyed expression. I've been talking to you for so long, and my legs are completely numb. Can't a girl lie down for just a little while? Well, Ethan, blushing furiously, didn't know what to say. Finally, he gave a barely audible mumble of consent. Ethan. Coco murmured his name in her sleep, nestled beside him. Ethan lay stiffly, utterly bewildered. Even with a blanket between them, he could feel the delicate warmth of her body pressed against his. He stared at her adorable sleeping face, his heart hammering against his ribs. He still didn't understand why she was here, or why she seemed to like him so much already. Ethan, don't leave me. Please don't go, she mumbled, a tear tracing a path from the corner of her eye. The sight sent a jolt through him. She's crying? And what does she mean, leave her? Completely mystified, Ethan struggled to turn onto his side. He managed to grab a few tissues from a nightstand and reached over to gently wipe the tear from her cheek. The moment the tissue touched her skin, it was soaked through. And in that same instant, so was Ethan's heart. He didn't know why, but seeing her cry caused a sharp, stabbing pain in his own chest, as if he had somehow failed her. As he dabbed at her face, Coco's eyes shot open. Coco, he yelped, pulling his hand back. Did I wake you? I'm sorry. She looked from the damp tissue in his hand to his panicked face. A slow, sweet smile spread across her lips, her eyebrows curving softly. It's real. This isn't a dream. Ethan is really here, right in front of me. It's okay, Ethan. She grabbed his retreating hand, her grip surprisingly strong. You're not getting away from me this time. Gulp. Ethan swallowed hard. The words themselves sounded shy and sweet, but a sudden, inexplicable chill ran down his spine. Click. Just then, the door to the hospital room swung open, and a man and a woman walked in. Don't worry, honey, the man was saying. The doctor said our boy doesn't have any serious injuries. He just needs to rest and recover. I know, the woman replied. He's already looking so much better. I was terrified when I first saw him. Mark White wrapped a comforting arm around Claire's shoulders. But as their eyes fell upon the bed, they both froze, their jaws dropping in unison. Why is there a girl in our son's bed? Coco's face instantly turned a shade of crimson. Like an ostrich, she buried her head in Ethan's chest and refused to move. That left a deeply embarrassed Ethan to greet his parents. Mom, Dad, I can explain. And that's what happened. Ethan finished, looking at his mother, who was sporting a knowing, mischievous grin. Oh my, what a coincidence. Honey, try to tone it down. Your smile is about to split your face, Mark muttered. Ahem. Claire cleared her throat, feigning composure. She leaned forward and spoke gently to the lump in the blankets. Your name is Coco, right, dear? Is it okay if I call you Coco? After a moment, a sliver of a head slowly emerged from under the covers. Why, yes. Hello, Mr. and Mrs. White. So polite. And so cute. Claire gushed, pressing her hands to her cheeks. Ethan told us you were classmates in elementary school. Why, yes. We had some family issues, so I had to move abroad. I never thought I'd run into Ethan here. Oh my goodness, it must be fate. Claire giggled, covering her mouth. So, Coco, what do you think of our Ethan? Mom, what are you saying? Ethan's face went scarlet, but he couldn't stop his eyes from darting toward Coco. Ethan is wonderful. Coco lifted her head to glance at the blushing boy, then answered in a soft, sweet voice. I like him a lot. Ah, Claire drew out the sound with dawning comprehension, tightening her grip on Mark's arm. Oh dear, I just remembered. We bought some fruit, and I think we left it at the stand. Your father and I will just pop out and go get it. Coco, sweetie, you make yourself at home. Our son is very shy, so we're counting on you. With that, she began dragging Mark toward the door. Fruit? What fruit? Mark asked, confused. Claire's hand shot out and pinched his side hard. All right, the fruit. I remember now, there was definitely fruit. And just like that, the two of them vanished, their intentions crystal clear. They were playing matchmaker. After all, with Ethan's timid personality, he'd probably never find a girlfriend on his own. But now, with a girl who was already so close to him, their son finally had a chance. Click. The door shut, plunging the room into a sudden silence. Coco, still hiding under the covers, understood Claire's meaning perfectly. This was practically an endorsement. Emboldened, she poked her head out and scooted closer, whispering right into Ethan's ear. "You heard what I said just now, didn't you, Ethan?" His eyes darted around nervously, the oxygen mask hissing with his every breath. He finally gave a tiny nod. I heard. So, don't you have anything to say to me?" Ethan blushed and pretended not to understand. "Say about what?" "You're being naughty, Ethan." A sly, wicked smile spread across Coco's face. In one fluid motion, she sat up, swung a leg over him, and settled herself on his torso. Coco, what are you doing? Get off." It wasn't that she was heavy. The position was just mortifyingly embarrassing. "Oomph. This is what you get for not being honest with me." It was as if some switch had been tripped inside her. Her heart pounded with excitement. Before Ethan could protest again, she leaned down, her face inches from his. "Now, are you going to answer my question?" Ethan's brain completely short-circuited. His ability to speak, to even form a facial expression, was gone. He just stared, frozen like a crashed computer. "Since you're not saying anything, I'll just assume that's a yes," Coco purred. "Not that you had any other choice." Her hand reached up and lightly touched the oxygen mask on his face. "I love you more than anything, Ethan. You don't need a silly machine to breathe. You have me now." Beep, 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 beep. A frantic, high-pitched alarm began to blare through the room. The warning that a patient's medical equipment was no longer properly attached. Sometime during the night, Ethan tried to roll over and found his movement restricted. Something was wrapped around his back, holding him tight. He glanced behind him and saw Coco, fast asleep beside him. Coco? Wasn't she in her own bed when I fell asleep? He wondered silently. He carefully tried to shift away when a cute, cheerful voice whispered by his ear. "Good evening, Ethan." "Coco, you're awake." He jumped. Sorry, did I wake you?" "You're so silly, Ethan." Coco giggled and threw her arms around him, pulling him into a hug. It was obvious to anyone else that she'd never been asleep, but the innocent boy simply assumed he'd disturb her. "I love you so much, Ethan." A deep blush spread across Ethan's face. The pressure was too much. He couldn't escape. He turned his head to the side and stammered, "Coco, I can't breathe." Calmly, Coco used both hands to turn his head back to face her. "In that case," she said in a low, husky voice, "you'll just have to leave it to your caregiver, Nurse Coco." "Nurse? MMPHH." Ethan's eyes went wide. His whole body felt like it was paralyzed as a jolt of electricity shot through him. Coco looked down at the terrified boy, a playful, demonic glint in her eyes. "It looks like my patient's condition is critical. Don't worry. Nurse Coco will do everything she can to resuscitate you." With that, she untied her pigtails, gathered her hair into a single ponytail, and leaned down once more. A few days later, a doctor in a white coat stared thoughtfully at the listless Ethan White. "This doesn't make any sense," the doctor muttered. "According to his chart, he shouldn't be this weak. Did we miss something in his tests?" Ethan lay on the bed, his eyes closed in weary resignation. On the bed next to his, a vibrant, glowing Coco Lowell covered her mouth to hide a triumphant smile. Years later, a woman in a sundress, her long golden hair cascading over one shoulder, stood lovingly gazing at a photo frame. "Shoot, look at the time." A man's frantic voice called from the bedroom, followed by the rustling sound of someone hastily dressing and getting out of bed. "Good morning, honey," Coco said, peeking her head into the room with a blissful expression. "Babe." Ethan didn't have time to chat. He was nearly 2 hours late for work. He quickly pulled on his pants and rushed for the door, but as he passed the bedroom entrance, Coco's hand shot out and grabbed his arm. "What's wrong, babe?" Even in his rush, he paused, straightening his tie as he looked at her. "Is there something you wanted to tell me?" "Honey, do you remember when we took this picture?" "Of course I do. That was when we were in the hospital together. How could I ever forget that time?" "Heh." Coco smiled that same silly, happy smile as she helped him fix his tie. Then, she stood on her tiptoes and planted a soft kiss on his cheek. "It's so good to have a world with you in it. How do you think I feel?" Ethan leaned down and kissed her on the forehead before shrugging on his coat. "Okay, I'm heading to work. You rest up and be good at home, okay?" Coco glanced down at her own swelling belly, then smiled back up at him. "Okay, I'll be here, waiting for my husband to come home." After watching him leave, Coco picked up the photo frame again, a sweet smile on her face. In the picture, a younger version of herself was looking up at the man whose arm she held, her eyes filled with an endless ocean of hope and the deepest, most profound love.